Frankfurt Galaxy and the Scottish Claymores. The result of today's showdown will determine who hosts the World Bowl. This season's celebration has been rampant in Frankfurt. A prolific offense and a dominating defense have led to a perfect season. The Claymores boast the league's #1 rusher, #2 receiver, and top-ranked defense. The right to host the World Bowl will rise to a crescendo next. The historic city of Frankfurt in Germany is currently in the grip of American football fever. Tonight, it's the biggest game in the World League season so far. The Frankfurt Galaxy entertaining the Scottish Claymores with a place in the World Bowl on the line. Remember, the team with the best record after 5 games, they get to host the World Bowl. At the moment, Frankfurt are in pole position. If they win tonight, they go 5-0. They'll be perfect. But if Scotland win tonight, then both teams will finish up at 4-1. Scotland will win the head-to-head, so they will host the World Bowl. I'm Nick Halling, and I'm joined tonight by Bill Mast, formerly of the Kansas City Chiefs. And Bill, we've talked to both these two teams. They say this is a playoff game for us.
Championship game, Nick. Both these teams are aware of what they need to do to win this game. It's important to have the World Bowl at home in front of their fans.
And it really is a sort of NFC type of feel about the game as well. It's almost Dallas v San Francisco out here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Scotland beating Dallas because they run the ball. Number 27, Sir Stacey. Then when they have to throw it, they throw it to 88, Sean LaChapelle. He's the Michael Irving. And for Frankfurt, well, everything they do is the 49ers system. And like 49ers and Dallas, these two teams don't like each other.
Well, everything on the line. It's going to be quite a game today. We're going to be back with the kickoff in just a couple of moments. It's Frankfurt versus Scotland coming next.
Today's game is brought to you by Bud Light, official sponsor of the 1996 Summer Olympic Games. Make it a Bud Light. And by Ryder. We're there when you need us. And by AT&T, official sponsor of the 1996 U.S. Olympic team.
Gets at 7/6 Central on FX.
This is where the site for World Bowl 96 will be decided in Frankfurt, Germany. The winner of this game tonight will host the World Bowl in 6 weeks' time. Will it be the Frankfurt Galaxy? These fans certainly hope so. Or will the Scottish Claymores upset all these fans? And there looks like 35,000 of them, very few Claymores fans. And it really is a case of home field advantage that Jim Kreiner and his team have got to try and overcome. They've done a good job this season. That loss in Dusseldorf last week, breaking their unbeaten sequence. But as for Ernie Stautner, his team has just gone from strength to strength. 4-0 after winning the World Bowl last year. The wily old fox has been weaving his magic again. But he couldn't weave any magic on the coin toss because Scotland won it and they've elected to receive. And that could be important. There's talk that this game could be a real offensive shootout. The weather is pretty good. No rain. It was forecast, but there's been no sign of it so far. We're just about ready to get the action underway. Ralph Kleinman, the German national player, will kick it off. Standing deep is Marcus Thomas at about his own 8-yard line. And the World Bowl decider is underway. Good high kick from Kleinman. Thomas fields at his own 4-yard line. Looks for running room, gets just over the 20-yard line. Look like Lance Gunn, the safety man, came up and made the stop. So Steve Matthews, the Kansas City Chief, will take over at about his own 21-yard line. Matthews has had a patchy start. He's played well in a couple of games, played poorly in a couple. Really needs to produce tonight.
Really needs to produce, Nick. This is a big game for Steve Matthews. He can't afford to make any mistakes in this game.
First down at about the 22 for the Scottish Claymores. The crowd right into this. They start on the ground with Sir Stacey, who trips, cuts, and gets over to about the 26-yard line before he's stopped by Mark Byers, the linebacker, a pickup of 5 for Stacey. The ground game very important for the Claymores. Stacey has Ka'ayahilo in the backfield with him. Yo Murphy and Scott Cooper, the wideouts. Willie Tate from Kansas City, the tight end.
And they come out running the ball early, trying to establish the running game here. It's going to be key for Scotland's offense.
Saran Stacey last night was saying we must establish the run. Did a pretty good job on first down. Matthews on the keeper, looks, turns, gets hit, and falls forward. That'll be short of first down yardage. Chris Hall, a safety man, came up and laid the hit. The offensive line, Randy Bierman, Bart, Zeno, Hunt, and Wagner Bierman, the only one of those 5 not allocated from the NFL.
Pretty good group, and for Scotland, these guys are going to have to get it done up front. They're trying to establish a new line of scrimmage, and they're going to be doing it all day long. That last play looked like a little miscommunication on the handoff. They're still a 3rd and 2 in good situation.
Big third down early here for the Scottish Claymores. Motion in their backfield. Matthews with the handoff, and a first down just about for the Scottish Claymores. Johnny Dixon came up from free safety, but Jared Kayahilo may have done enough. The Frankfurt defensive line has been fantastic this season. John Baker with 6 sacks, Mike Kerr and Don Reynolds, the outside guys, and the big German national Frank Messmer healthy again as well.
Well, we know this group can rush the passer, but today they're really going to have to concentrate on controlling their run gaps.
An early first down for the Scottish Claymores. They've moved it to their own 33-yard line. Matthews drops back to pass. Over the middle and just couldn't find the intended receiver, who was Saran Stacey. Tom Cavallo had the coverage.
Again, a little bit of early miscommunication. Saran Stacey kind of pulled away thinking there was a receiver behind him at the time, and again, second time we saw some miscommunication.
Cavallo, the inside linebacker, joined by Mark Byers and Bernard Carter, the Jacksonville Jaguars player. Second down and 10 after the incomplete pass for the Scottish Claymores. Looking to try and take the crowd out of this one early. Motion from Scott Cooper. On the draw play, it's Kayahilo, doesn't get a lot, maybe just a couple there. Don Reynolds filled the hole. The defensive backfield for the Frankfurt Galaxy is banged up. Chris Hall and Cecil Doggett both playing hurt. The Galaxy don't know how long they'll go. Dixon and Gunn are the safety men, but the corner's a real concern.
Chris Hall is back for the first game after about 3 weeks off, and he's a guy who had 8 interceptions for the Galaxy last year, so we'll be keeping an eye on him.
3rd and 8. So the pressure on the Claymores offense here. Matthews drops, rolls, a lot of time. Now he's in trouble. He's hit and down for a sack. Don Reynolds, the first man there. Mike Kerr followed it up. But the Galaxy defense held firm emphatically.
Well, for Scotland, you know, one of their problems has been their 3rd down conversion ability. They've only got about 47% completion on 3rd down. And when they want to keep their drive alive, they've got to chew up the clock. And right there, again, they didn't get it down on 3rd down, and that's not going to help them out in their game plan. They've got to find a way to get first downs and chew up the clock.
And the sack masters are at it again. Paul McCallum will punt. Gary Harrell from the New York Giants will call for a fair catch at about his own 31-yard line. So the Frankfurt Galaxy will take over in pretty reasonable field position. And Ernie Staunton was saying he wants his defensive line to step up. It has to step up because how worried they are about the defensive secondary. Steve Pallure, the former Dallas Cowboy, anchors things for the Frankfurt Galaxy. Very calm, very assured.
He's the guy that makes his whole offense work. And you watch him and staying in the pocket. He's real sure of where he's going with the ball. You don't see him get jittery too often.
This team likes to pass. It's very much a West Coast offense that they've established here under Thomas Coleman, the offensive coordinator. Pallure with the fake, throws, he gets a completion and a first down. Mario Bailey. The hit came in from James Williams, the cornerback, but that's good for about 12.
Well, you said, Nick, that they like to pass the ball, and they open up the game passing the ball. They run a little slant pattern right here to Mario Bailey, and he has a completion. It looks like a first down.
To the 42-yard line. So Pallure comes out passing. They often like to try and mix it up early. And there they do. They go on the ground to Ingo Seibert, the German running back who runs into the formidable figure of Gerald Jeffcoat and will pick up maybe a couple. Seibert, such a handful in this offense. Phillips and Bender, the starting running backs. Bailey and Jay Kearney, the wide men. And Martin Drever, the German national, gets his first start at tight end in place of the injured Ed Smith. A big night for Drever. Pick up a 3 on the carry for the other German, Ingo Seibert. Second down from the 45. Pallur looks, throws, and couldn't quite find Ingo Seibert. Forey Duckett came up from corner just to push Seibert down, and Pallur working behind what is reckoned to be the best offensive line in the World League.
They really jump out at you when you watch this group perform. They're big and they're strong. They pass block, and then when it comes time to run the ball, this group works together like they've been working together for years. It's really amazing how quickly they've gelled.
And a very tight group. Michael Batiste, the guard, was telling us yesterday, we're a family. Now it's a big third down for Frankfurt. And Steve Pallur has taken a look and decides he doesn't like what he sees and needs to call a timeout. So a timeout on the field. 9:38 left to go, first quarter. We'll be back after this.
Your screen today for a free information kit.
Back in Frankfurt, Nick Halling along with Bill Maas, formerly of the Kansas City Chiefs. Tremendous atmosphere in this stadium. All these fans know exactly what's on the line. The winners will host the World Bowl. And Frankfurt have a big 3rd and 7 coming up. Gary Harrell goes in motion. Pallur takes a deep drop, has a lot of time, tries to find Ingo Seibert, and can't pick him up again. Mark Sander stayed with him, but Seibert just a yard or 2 away from that one.
Well, you know, to stop this offense, the ball control, the way they pass it, the West Coast style, you've got to play good man-to-man coverage. And they did it there. And they have to do that the whole game.
Kevin Feary from the Carolina Panthers will kick it away to Lee Gisendana, who stands at his own 15-yard line. High snap, Feary deals with it. Gets off a good spiral that a fair catch is called for, and it takes an unlucky bounce for Frankfurt, and it's going to be down at about the 24-yard line. So both defenses have held, and so much at stake for both these two teams. The winners will host the 1996 World Bowl on Sunday, the 23rd of June. Will it be here at the Volksstadion, or will it go back to Scotland in the imposing Murrayfield Stadium?
Nick, I can't remember the last time I saw Frankfurt's offense stalled on the first possession. I've seen a lot of opening possession touchdown drives throughout their first 4 games, but I think that might be the first time they've been stalled on the first 3 plays.
Jim Kreiner said we can't get into a shootout with these guys. If we do, we'll lose. We've got to contain them. Sean LaChapelle goes in motion on first down. They pitch it back to Stacey, who looks to cut back and is hit after a pickup of only a couple. Looked like Bernard Carter came up from linebacker and stopped him.
Well, they like Keith Wagner and they like Purvis Hunt. They're 2 big guys, and there you see Purvis Hunt leading the way, and also with fullback Jerry Caiello. And you're going to see them run the ball a lot because they need to chew up the clock. This is the way they are going to control the game, is by controlling the football.
That's what Saran Stacey was saying. Keep Frankfurt's offense off the field. 2nd and long. Matthews drops, has a lot of time, goes upstairs for LaChapelle, and a big catch for the Frankfurt Galaxy over Lance Gunn, the safety, and that's a mismatch they'll try and set up every time.
That was a heck of a grab by Sean LaChapelle, and he's been bothered early on with some injuries. He had a shoulder and an ankle problem. You see right there, Steve Matthews has all day and an open field of vision, and he just throws the ball out there, and it's 1-on-1 with LaChapelle, and he makes the catch. And that's ball awareness. He knows where it at. He knew where the ball was at, and Lance Gunn didn't.
Good for 38 yards as well. And Sean LaChapelle, who has a shoulder problem, didn't see it there. And Scotland threatening. They're at Frankfurt's 32. On the ground they stay, cutting back and picking up a couple of tough yards there. Chris Hall coming up, loose ball, and the Galaxy think they've recovered it. Now that popped out of Caiello's hands.
He was on the ground.
It certainly seemed to be stopped.
We'll take a look to see if he was still up and down and not on the ground before this ball comes out. Jared Cahill driving forward. The ball is out before his knees are on the ground.
Definitely a fumble.
Crucial. That's something, you know, they can't afford to turn the ball over. Not when you get a nice play like that and get you down in scoring position, Nick. You can't turn the ball over.
And Lance Gunn, it was that recovered it, the man who'd just been burned on the big play to La Chapelle just a couple of plays earlier. So he's leveled up his copybook. And it's 1st and 10 for Frankfurt at their own 38-yard line. Motion from Jay Kearney. Pallur, another deep drop, goes over the middle of Kearney, who's in a lot of space and will pick up close to first down yardage. Looked like Shannon Jones on the stop, the outside linebacker. John DeWitt and Herman Carroll getting the start on the outside for the Claymores. Ty Parton, the former Cincinnati Bengal, is fit again. Joe O'Brien rounds out the front quartet. And Ernie Stautner, the Galaxy coach, was saying we must control that Scotland defensive line. 2nd and about a yard. Kearney in motion again. On the ground. And hit Nate Bolton. Will lose a couple. Ran straight into number 95, Ty Parton.
Ty Parton's back in the game. It's the first time he's been back in for about 3 weeks, and he's anxious to hit somebody.
Sander and Allais, the outside guys. Emmett Waldron, the Irishman, in at the middle. Sander will move inside when Waldron checks out of the lineup. And a loss of a yard there for Nate Bolton on the carry. Brings up 3rd and a couple for the Frankfurt Galaxy. Looking to profit from that Scotland turnover. Wes Bender in motion, and Pallur calls another timeout. That's their 2nd of this first half, and we're still 6:38 to go in the first quarter.
That's their 2nd team timeout.
So an exciting start. No points on the board. 6:38 to go, first quarter. We'll be back.
Looking for something?
Greek God.
Number 72.
Welcome back to Frankfurt. No score, but plenty of intensity.
You know what, Scotland? We talked to their defense yesterday, and they said they're going to try to disguise the coverage to confuse Pallur before the snap. And they've had to call timeout twice now.
On the ground, Nate Bolton blasts his way through the hole and looks like he's done enough to pick up a first down. James Fuller, the safety man, came up and made the stop. Fuller was cut by the Claymores in by the Galaxy in pre-season, so he is fired up for this one. George Coghill, the other safety, James Williams, and a healthy Forey Duckett back on the corner for the Scottish Claymores.
These 4 guys are going to play with a lot of emotion. We talked to James Williams yesterday, and he said that, you know, Fuller being cut by the Galaxy and George Coghill, these guys want to hit somebody.
And hard. First down, close to midfield. Gary Harrell goes in motion. Pallur, another deep drop, and should have been a catch. That was a catchable ball. Mark Sander had coverage, but Gary Harrell could have had it.
Well, that was a nice job by Gary Harrell. And Steve Pallur going through the check down. He looked at his receivers. He went 1, 2, 3 and checked down. And Gary Harrell was there across the middle. He had to dump it underneath. But Mark Sanders stayed where he was supposed to be. He stayed home and waiting for the guy in the middle. And he picked him up, Gary Harrell.
Pallur, the top-rated quarterback in the World League, just brings a veteran assurance behind center that some of these other teams have lacked. 2nd and 10. Pallur with a short drop, looks for Jay Kearney. That one overthrown. Kearney got one hand up, couldn't bring it in.
This ball was well thrown, but it was even better coverage. And Frank Robinson got some help out of the safety position. You're going to see he's beat right there, but flying into your picture, here comes Fuller. And that's what these guys are going to have to do defensively. They're going to have to help each other out because this offense of the Galaxy, they distribute the ball well to all the receivers all around the field.
But now they have a 3rd down and 10 after 2 incompletions from Pallur. The Scottish Claymores, #1 ranked defense. Trying to shut down the Galaxy here. Pallur goes upstairs again, and it's broken up. They were looking for Mario Bailey, and a great break up there from George Coghill, the safety, who is playing inspired football this season.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. We saw the same thing last play. Frank Robinson has his man as a receiver outside, but look who's making the break this time. It's a safety, George Coghill. They know the ball's going to be thrown outside to the receivers. They got to come over there and help him out. Nice play on the ball.
And I tell you, the Claymores were so flat against the Rhine Fire last week, a different-looking team completely. Lee Gissendaner fields the punt at about his own 12, gets past the first tackle, still on his feet, has a blocker, still on his feet, to about the 28-yard line. Lee Gissendaner was eventually brought down, but they think Gissendaner is a player that's just ready to explode.
He's an excitable guy, and you talk to everybody on the Scottish Claymores team, they said they've got to get this guy in their game plan. You know, they're fixing her out with Stacy and La Chapelle and Yo Murphy, but some way they got to get him into the game plan because he's exciting.
Well, Saran Stacy is obviously very focused on this game, but he's closing in on a record. And if the Claymores generate any kind of offense at all tonight, that record will go, the all-time rushing record for the World League. That's probably not in Stacy's thoughts right now. The pitch back to Stacy, who is met and hit. Not much doing there at all. Mike Kerr on the stop. And certainly Frankfurt keying on the running game.
Well, they knew Scotland was going to try to run the ball, and I was going to kind of worried for Frankfurt about their matchup up front. They've got lighter weight guys in there. You know, they have Mike Kerr in there. He's 267 pounds, and Baker, he's about 270. You know, they just don't match up physically, but they're controlling the run as of this point.
Just a couple there for Stacy. They stay, no, they fake. Matthews looks, has a man wide open to midfield. La Chapelle beats one man. Now it's a foot race, and he's down at about the 25 by Mark Byers, who came back from linebacker, but they work Lance Gunn again.
Well, that's the second time that they found Sean La Chapelle. The play-action fake, first of all, fights everybody up inside. Oh, there's no rush. He has all the time. Then he throws the ball out. He gets Chris Hall turned around, and he had no safety help over the top. Sean La Chapelle makes a nice grab and takes it down again. This is the second time they're in scoring position. Let's see if they can punch it in now.
All the way to the 24. It was from here that they fumbled after the last big catch to La Chapelle. The Claymores will look to go better this time. Stacy with a hole, gets inside the 20 and falls forward down to about the 17-yard line. Pickup of 6 or 7 up the middle for Stacy.
Well, I told you I was concerned about the matchup in the middle of the Frankfurt defensive line, and there it opened up. Zeno, Purvis, Hunt, Barnes, they did their job inside against Cavallo, Baker, and Kerr. And that was a nice pickup for them. 7 good yards on the ground for Saran. Brings up a nice-looking 2nd and 3 for the Scottish Claymores. Looking to break open early. Stacy has some work to do now. Gets past Mike Kerr and will be short of first down yardage by about a yard. Kerr got some help from Reginald Lee, the linebacker. The defensive line here establishes a new line of scrimmage. They're in the backfield. See Mike Kerr? The fullback has to take him on back in his territory. And then you have the free linebacker off the side, Byers, and he comes flying in there and trips him up. It's defense like that that they're going to have to play, especially inside the scoring zone.
3rd and a yard from the Galaxy 15-yard line. The Claymores looking to keep this drive alive. They go with Stacy, who picks his way through and may not have got it. Bernard Carter made a big hit, and that's going to be a question of where they spot it.
4th and what? Okay.
Jim Kreiner calls a timeout because they're short. That was a heck of a stop from Carter.
Well, Carter played it nice. They tried to run a trap to the right side of their offense, and he just hid behind Don Reynolds. You know, he let Don Reynolds absorb all the flow that's coming out from Wagner and Hunt.
They're going to look for it now. They're going to look for it now because of the timeout. Because of the timeout. How far do we have time to talk? How far is it, Steve? You said it's that far. Oh, it's a full yard then? That's not a yard. You want to give me a measure? Yep. We need to get. Yep. Points by. Let's go. Ron, what yard line is that, man?
It seems like they're concerned about the distance and how far they have to go. And usually when they're doing that, you know, they're thinking about the quarterback sneak. And you hear he call for a jumbo.
Well, tomorrow the Barcelona Dragons and the Rhine Fire will try and keep their seasons moving along down there in the Montjuic Stadium in Barcelona, the most picturesque venue in the World League. But this game really has started off well, very intense as we knew it would be. And it looks like Paul McCallum, the kicker, is out to attempt a field goal to put the Claymores on top. It'll be a 32-yard attempt. McCallum hasn't missed. All season, he has a long of 39.
Well, I think this is a smart call on the part of Jim Kreiner. He's down inside there, and he doesn't want to risk coming out of the scoring zone for the second time with 0 points. Let's take the 3 right now and take a comfortable lead.
Paul McCallum has drilled it. It's certainly got the distance, and it's accurate as well. And with 1:46 remaining in the first quarter, the Claymores have broken on top. Paul McCallum
You know
with a 32-yard kick.
Huddle them up out there and tell them. Let's go.
Well, they want some good coverage on this kickoff that Gavin Hastings is going to kick off. They want to keep them pinned down. They've done a nice job defensively of stalling Frankfurt.
Good job.
3 plays and out.
Good job.
They struck first. I believe this is the first time that Frankfurt has been behind in the first quarter.
Okay, kick off first time.
And really the story for Scotland in this first quarter, 2 big plays to Sean LaChapelle, who they managed to isolate one-on-one with a safety man, Lance Gunn.
Yeah, well, it's not only Lance Gunn, it's also Chris Hall. You know, Chris Hall is back for the first time. And I'm sure he's not sure if everything's going on. It takes time to get in the rhythm of things. When you miss any extended time playing in this league, or any league, you know, it takes a while to get back in the rhythm of things. Twice we saw the long pass to LaChapelle.
Well, the Scottish kickers, there's Gavin Hastings. He's been perfect on the season. So too has Paul McCallum. 15 kicks, 15 between the uprights. That's some record.
I think you're going to see Paul McCallum land an NFL team this year.
McCallum kicks it to Gary Harrell. Harrell at the 13-yard line, who runs into Ben Torriero. And James Fuller, who is really fired up. This against the team that cut him in pre-season, remember.
And he's telling them about it, Nick. He's telling them about it. Hey, guys. Hey, teammates, remember me? Look at him out there. He's right in the mix of things.
So the Galaxy held up at about their own 22-yard line. Just 9 yards on the return for Harrell, who's averaging around 20. And Ernie Stautner, well, we spoke to him yesterday. He looked concerned then. He's got real grounds for concern now.
And special teams play can really set the tempo for your team. They've got them pinned down now here in their territory.
They go on the ground, and a pickup of 3 or 4 tough yards. Arnold Alley in there, and Ingo Seibert drew a crowd.
Boy, Arnold Ali really did a nice job on taking on the lead blocker, which is Wes Bender. And this is a tough guy. I mean, if you watch Wes Bender doing film, you're going to see him here. Now watch, Arnold Ali butts him up and then comes off and makes the tackle. That's a one-man wrecking crew when you can do that.
3 yards on the carry for Ingo Seibert, brings up 2nd and long, and they go back to passing. Pallur goes upstairs, looks for Mike Bellamy, overthrown. Bellamy had George Coghill beaten, but had no shot at that.
Scotland's defense is working. Nick, it's working well. They're confusing Steve Pallur with disguising the coverage, and then they're disrupting the timing. The guys are getting downfield. Pallur feels the pressure, the pocket closing in around him. He's throwing things out. It's 3rd and 7 right now. This is the 3rd possession that they've had this problem. If they're stopped here, you've got to wonder what kind of changes they're going to make.
This is what Jim Kreiner said. We must mix up our coverages. You can't give Pallur any time. Pallur on 3rd and 7. Gets pressure again and can't find Mike Bellamy again. And pressure came, and Pallur had to get rid of it.
Well, the play unfolded fairly nicely until Steve Pallur takes a shot as he's delivering this thing. Watch number 59, Webb. He hits him. Just that's enough to distract the throw. When you see somebody coming right into your face as a quarterback, a lot of times they get hit from the blind side and they don't see it coming. But when you see the rush coming right up your face, believe me, that ball's going to go a little bit different than where you thought it was.
And Pallur is struggling. Lee Gissendaner will try and field Fury's kick, which takes a hop to the Scottish 35, and Gissendaner just runs out of space and will take it to about the 42. Ed Robinson pushed him out of bounds.
And you notice how the field position is changing every time Scotland gets the ball. Look, they're at about the 40-yard line.
Let's watch it go on. If you're affecting your throwing, you're better off coming out because your throwing's a little off right now.
It's just my timing. I don't have my timing.
It's your timing, I know, but you haven't been working. And that's what we got to decide. About if you're going to get it back. Okay?
And remember, Steve Pallur was banged up last week in the win against Amsterdam as well. First down. Matthews on the keeper.
Miscommunication again.
I was going to say, it didn't exactly look like Matthews expected to keep that one.
Scotland can't afford to make mistakes in this game. This is a big game for them. They're on the road to host the World Bowl. They can't afford mistakes like that.
That's the end of the first quarter.
The first quarter has flown by. It's a good one for the Scottish Claymores. They lead the defending world champion Frankfurt Galaxy 3-0.
Mother's Day, creatively yours all day tomorrow, only on FX. Brought to you by Huggies and FX.
And now Bud Light presents World League of American Football Facts. Thanks to today's technology, World League football games are seen in over 50 countries by more than 27 million people and still growing. Hey, World League, make it a Bud Light.
The Frankfurt skyline. And here in the forest, the Frankfurt Galaxy and the Scottish Claymores battling for the right to host this year's World Bowl. Scotland with a second down and long to start the second quarter. Matthews gets pressure and is hit. Oh, he's got it away. Good play from Matthews, who looked like he'd been hit. Don Reynolds had tremendous pressure, and Chris Hall came up and made the stop on Kayahilo.
Well, if you study the Scotland's tendencies, when they're in split backs, you know it's a pass. And Don Reynolds knows it's a pass right here. He pushes Keith Wagner to the ground and starts closing on Steve Matthews. Steve Matthews was lucky right there. He should have taken the sack, because throwing it out there, it was liable to have been picked off, and there was nobody between him and the end zone.
And he lost 4 yards as well. So now it's Frankfurt's defense's turn to try and stiffen up. Third and long. Matthews steps up. Finds LaChapelle. It's a first down for the Scottish Claymores again. And LaChapelle is the man they turn to when they need something. Lance Gunn on the stop.
Defensively speaking for Frankfurt, they knew that coming into this game, they had to stop number 27, Saran Stacey, and number 88, Sean LaChapelle. Thus far, they've controlled Saran Stacey, but they haven't done anything with Sean LaChapelle. He's had 3 big catches now for over plus 20 yards. And it's moving their offense down into the scoring zone.
And that takes the pressure off for the Claymores. Pressure comes from the outside. Matthews has to get rid of it. Tremendous pressure from Ronnie Woolfolk.
Well, they were trying to set up a screen there, and he was trying to throw it back across the field. The offensive lineman had turned and got in position, and he was trying to throw the ball out there to the back, I believe, Saran Stacey, and it never materialized because John Baker and Ronnie Woolfolk just got in the backfield and disrupted their time.
And that's what the Galaxy are going to have to do. And LaChapelle on the sidelines will be used sparingly because of his shoulder injury, and a timeout called by Steve Matthews. That's the Claymores' first.
Scotland. That's their second team
13:22 to go in the first half. The Claymores leading the Galaxy 3-0. And they're at the Galaxy 40-yard line.
705-1717.
The Claymores leading the Galaxy 3-0, 13:22 to go first half, and Steve Matthews has had a pretty solid opening session, helped greatly by Sean LaChapelle. 2nd and 10. Matthews with time, swings it out to Kayahilo, who's pushed out of bounds by Chris Hall after a pickup of around 4 yards. That'll bring up 3rd and long for the Claymores.
Well, Steve Matthews has done a good job thus far, and the key thing is that he hasn't turned the ball over. So far this year, he has 7 interceptions, and he doesn't have any right now, and that's the things he needs to do. He reads his progressive reads right there. He looks for his 2 receivers, and then he hits the check down man to the back in the backfield. It's a safe, sure thing.
The ball on the 36-yard line of the Frankfurt Galaxy. 3rd down and around 6 to go. On 3rd downs, they've gone to LaChapelle. This time a great hit. Saran Stacey was flattened by Johnny Dixon. That'll get your attention.
Johnny Dixon read the play all the way. He kept his read. He stayed in there. He waited for the back to come out of the backfield. And when he did, he broke on the ball. He gave him enough space to have an opening and then just broke on the ball right there. Nice hit on the play and stopped the first down.
So that'll bring out the punting unit. Paul McCallum stands at midfield. Mario Bailey at about his own 10-yard line. McCallum will look to angle it into the corner. A flag comes in. And it's down at about the 15-yard line, but there is a flag.
Well, usually it's thrown, it looks like it's thrown at the line of scrimmage. You're probably going to have a guy leaving early. Didn't stay in there long enough till the punt was off. Trying to get down there to make a big play in special team.
And that's the call. Well, we talked about it being a playoff game and the intensity of Dallas versus San Francisco, and so far there's not been any quarter asked or given. Let's get the call.
There was an ineligible receiver downfield on the kicking team, number 90. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, 4th down.
That's Joe O'Brien, the defensive tackle, who does have an enthusiasm for getting down on punt coverage.
He does a great job of getting down there, and also he's the deep snapper. And he snaps the ball, and he just needs to hold on there for a second before taking off. That time he snapped the ball and just was flying down there trying to get into coverage.
So McCallum will have to do it all over again. Gets off a nice high kick and a fair catch called for. And downed at about the 7. So in fact that worked in Scotland's favour. They picked up about 7 yards on that. Mario Bailey with no chance of a return. Well, these fans will certainly give Frankfurt every support that they possibly can. And we've all been to Frankfurt before and seen this, but the power party just never fails to kind of take your breath away, does it?
It's exciting. You know, we're out there walking around and we're saying, hey, you know, the NFL should have something like this going on at every stadium. It's a fun atmosphere. And I noticed a lot of families out there. You know, they take the kids out and do the NFL experience thing. It's an enjoyable time.
But it's down to serious business on the field at the Waldstadion. Less than 12 minutes to go first half. Frankfurt and Steve Pallur looking to try and generate something. Been very flat offensively for them, and they start deep. And they go on the ground, and not much doing there at all. Looked like Nate Bolton was wrapped up by Ty Parton.
Well, you know, earlier we saw Ernie Stotner talking with Steve Pallur, and you heard Steve say my timing's off. He was hurt last week, and I think that's what Ernie's questions were about, but it's not because he's hurt. He said his timing's off. Well, his timing's off because Scotland is creating it. They're disguising the coverage. They're coming at him with different formations and things up front to get in his face, and he's disrupted. So now they come out and they try to run the ball. You know, Frankfurt has scored 38 first-quarter points, and we're already in the second quarter, and they haven't got near the board.
Nowhere near. Pallur takes a deep drop, and it's just gone away. James Williams had coverage, good coverage there on Mario Bailey, who failed to come up with it. And John DeWitt had tremendous pressure on Pallur.
John DeWitt has a nice pass rush right here. He beats his man around the corner and gets right up in the face of Pallur as he's delivering the ball. See, Steve knows. He can see that rush coming right in his face, and the ball is not going to come out the way he wants it to come out. He was underthrew Mario Bailey right there.
3rd down and 11. They're having trouble generating anything on the ground, and they're having trouble through the air as well. Steve Pallur having a tough time. Gary Harrell goes in motion. Another deep drop. He has to get rid of it. Now he's got it, but it's shook and loose ball as well. And who's got it? It looks like the Galaxy have recovered it. And if that has been recovered there, it's a first down to the Galaxy. But let's see what the officials say. Now they've downed it at the 12, so it'll be short of first down yardage. Corey Duckett on the stop.
Yeah, they said the ground caused the fumble. It looked to me, though, like it could have been out early. I'm very surprised at Frankfurt. They've gotten themselves in a hole and have not been able to come out.
It's worth taking another look at that as we see Kevin Feary getting ready to kick it away once again. Feary kicking from his own end zone. This Scottish defense just turning the screw tighter and tighter. Feary gets off a good kick. Gisson Dana calls for a fair catch and makes a mess of it. Now who's got that? It looks like the Galaxy may have this. Lance Gunn was there. And Gisendana made the big mistake of coughing it up.
Well, I told you that special teams sets the tone. And right now is a time for Galaxy to set the tone. He misjudged where the ball was going to be. He called for the fair catch. There was nobody around him. He just didn't get over there in time. Then it's a mad dash for the ball, and Galaxy comes up with it. This is going to generate some energy.
And it was Lance Gunn that came up with it. And that's the break the Frankfurt Galaxy have been looking for all game. And it's come on special teams. Well, Kaya Hilo fumbled earlier on. It was Gunn that recovered that one, and then it was Gisendana's fumble, and it was Gunn that recovered that, so he's having quite a day. The pitch back and out to about the 45-yard line is Ingo Seibert. George Kogel on the stop with a pickup of around 6 for Seibert.
Ingo Seibert, the national German running back, does nice work for him. He leads the WLAF in touchdowns. And it's runs like this, and he earned that job on merit. This isn't a time where it's a national series where you got to put this guy in. He's a heck of a running back for this team.
A former pole vaulter, a bobsledder, just a good all-round athlete. Second down and around 5. Pallur gets pressure, manages to get it off, and it's intercepted. And another turnover. Forey Duckett just got in ahead of the receiver and picked it off. The man from the New Orleans Saints, and another turnover.
Forey Duckett's back in the lineup after being out of the injury. And you see Steve Pallur throws a nice ball there. And it's pretty good coverage by Forey Duckett. But as he comes down, he just rips the ball out of the offensive receiver's hands. And as defensive backs are taught to strip the ball, whether it be run, whether coming into fill, or in the pass situation. And there he keeps his eyes on the ball and just rips it out of Jay Carney's hands.
Well, Forey Duckett has just come back off injured reserve for the Scottish Claymores, the man allocated from the New Orleans Saints, a tall, rangy kind of guy who just flows to the ball. And that's the first turnover for the Frankfurt Galaxy. Scotland take over at their own 35. 9:13 left, first half. Just 3 points in it. Matthews swings it out. Looks in the vicinity of Yo Murphy. Chris Hall had coverage. And did it take a hop? Murphy's trying to say he made the catch, but the officials say otherwise.
Well, it's little things like that Steve Matthews needs to work on. You'll see him come out, he'll scramble sometimes, and then he throws long sometimes, and he throws it well.
That looked like a good catch to me, Bill.
I don't think the referee was in position there to see whether he got his hands underneath the ball or not.
Well, it's academic now. It's a second down and 10 for the Scottish Claymores. They give to Saran Stacey, who looks and can't find anything. Runs into the formidable figure of John Baker with Bernard Carter in support.
John Baker's having a heck of a season thus far. He leads the World League in sacks. And here he starts off in a pass rush, gets into his offensive lineman, and just comes off. And he's right there to tackle Saran Stacey. Here's a guy that is alert. And he starts his pass rush, he thinks he's going to be passed, and he comes off the blocker, and he's there to stuff the run. He's having a good World League season, and he wants to be back in the NFL. At this rate, Nick, I think he's going to be in somebody's camp.
A couple of tough yards for Stacey, 3rd and long. They go through the air once again. It's another completion, but it's short of first down yardage. Scott Cooper was just leveled by Tom Cavallo. Scott Cooper did well just to hang on to the ball there.
Well, Scott Cooper is all of about 167 pounds, dripping wet. And you're going to see him at the left of your screen. He's going to come down and do an in pattern, a slant to the middle. And he's there right about the first down marker distance. Now, other receivers would be big enough and strong enough to get the ball and turn upfield. He tries to do it. But at 160 pounds against a linebacker, it's not going to happen.
It's a mismatch. Gary Harrell stands at his 20. High snap fielded by McCallum, who gets it off. Harrell calls for the fair catch and is safe-handed, so Frankfurt will take over at their own 27-yard line. Just 3 points in it. The McCallum field goal, 7:11 to go, first half.
One of the ways Ryder makes your move easier is by renting trucks with automatic transmission. Because moving doesn't have to be an uphill battle. Ryder, we're there when you need us.
7-Up attitudes.
It's a given. It's the way it makes you feel. It's the lift that you get. It's a rhythm in your step. Cause it's cool and it's wonderful and it's lemon and lime. It's an up thing. Does it every time. It's clear and it's wonderful and it's totally fine. Hey, it's an up thing.
Check out the hottest alternative music online.
We're sorry. Your call cannot be completed as dialed.
Yeah, that's right, my friend. You're not getting through. Ow, that hurt. See ya. Oh, here comes another one. Oh, look, everybody. It's Miss Always Get Through. 1-800-CALL-ATT.
Baby Ruth. Who can resist all that rich nougat and caramel? And all those crunchy roasted peanuts. Just what you need to get going.
Showtime!
Baby Ruth from Nestle. This baby gets you going.
Test. Testing for your love.
Barry White. Checking for love. The Love King. Can't get enough of your love, babe. I love you, man.
I love your style.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down. Make it a Bud Light.
I had it right in my hand. You saw it.
Back in Frankfurt, Nick Halling along with Bill Mast, the former Kansas City Chiefs, watching the Claymores and the Galaxy battle to host the World Bowl. And the Scottish Claymores with the #1 ranked defense, doing quite a number on this potent Galaxy offense thus far.
Well, they're showing why they're #1 today, Nick. Ray Wilsey has this group fine-tuned.
First down, they go on the ground. Pallur hands the ball off, and a lot of pushing and shoving produces not a lot for Bobby Phillips because Ty Parton was standing in his way.
And for the Galaxy, you have to wonder if last week against Amsterdam, they weren't exposed. Scotland sure seems like they took a lesson from what Amsterdam did, and that was play man-to-man on the receivers and disrupt the timing game. And now that takes away everything from them. You can see they can't get the offensive running game going or the passing game.
They've given Phillips a yard. Pallur will go upstairs on 2nd and 9. Gets nailed, gets the pass off. And it's a big first down to Jay Kearney. He got absolutely flattened, but got the pass off. David Wilson on the stop, but Kearney to midfield.
Well, his timing was off, and he knows why, because people are getting in his face. But Steve Pallur stands in a pocket and takes the hit. He knows he's going to get leveled, and he stands there and throws the ball. Nice rush by David Webb. Steve Pallur finds Jay Kearney down the middle and knows he has to stand in there and take the hit and able to complete this pass, and he does. That's the kind of team leader Steve Pallur is, and his group, his offense, rallies around him.
And that's the first decent offensive play of this game. And Pallur calls the 3rd and final timeout of the half.
He had to. They stayed in the huddle too long, and the game clock wound down.
It'll be a 40-second timeout.
Well, we talked to Ernie Staunton yesterday, Bill, and he said how concerned he was about this game. He had injuries. He knew Scotland were tough.
Stop after a pass is complete.
No more timeout.
I know. Time does not stop now. You've got to get them going fast. You've got to get them going fast.
Well, you see there what Ernie's talking about. Steve, used to playing in the NFL, after they got to move the chains like that on a first down, they usually stop the clock until they jog down there. In this league, the clock does not stop. It continues. As soon as the ball is spotted, the 30-second clock starts. And Steve, you see, Ernie was telling him, you got to move him in there faster, in and out of the huddle. Now, come down the end of by halftime, at the end of the half, you know, they're going to probably need those timeouts. Now they're all expired.
You know, for all the problems this Galaxy offense has had, they're still down by just 3. The Claymores really would have liked to get something else on the board.
Well, you know, when you have two high-flying offenses like this, it's almost rule of thumb. Any big game that I've ever seen or played in, when you have two big offenses, sure enough, the defensive guys get angry. Oh, they're getting all the publicity. Look, they got commercials about them. They're on Fox pregame talking about the offense, and the defense comes and plays. And that's what's happening today.
Well, they're playing today, all right. The number 1 and 2 defenses here. The pitch back to Bobby Phillips. Phillips cuts back inside, gets past the first guy, and picks up around 7 yards before he's finally stopped. Good run from Phillips. Forey Duckett came up from corner. Phillips working his blockers.
Well, if you're a running back and you have the guy in front of you leading the way, you want it to be number 20, Wes Bender. He's going to seek out a guy and lower his head and knock somebody off, just like he does right there to George Coghill. Pushes him all the way downfield and opens up the hole.
Wes Bender doing his job there. 2nd down and short. Pallur with time gets a man again. Mario Bailey. James Williams and James Fuller came in. Bailey split them.
Well, they finally have their offense on a little bit of a roll here. You see right there, see the dogget? He's off the ball too far. That's James Williams, I'm sorry. That's James Williams. He's off the ball too far, allowing them too much room underneath.
And you know what else has happened, Bill? This crowd's in the game now. And this crowd can be a factor here. Pallur on 1st down from Scotland's 27. Hit hurt. Joe O'Brien came in and just leveled Bobby Phillips. Read it all away, and you can move it back for about 4 yards.
Joe O'Brien's like a fire plug. He's in there. He's not quite 6 foot tall, but does he have a motor? You know, and they got into a numbers game with defensive tackles this week, and they had to release Troy Ridgely, who was playing fine for him, was a starter for him in the system. But Joe O'Brien is playing so effectively and making so many things happen for this team, they had to keep him.
Plus, he's their long snapper as well. Helps when you're that versatile. Pallur drops, gets protection this time, has a good look, and is picked off again. George Coghill. Coghill to about the 35, and Steve Pallur is having a tough night.
I'm anxious to see what Ernie Stotner is going to do. He talked to him once about his timing and the things he's doing. He seems like he's a little agitated with Steve. I wouldn't be surprised to see if he puts Brad Bretz in the game. He just completely overthrows Mario Bailey. It's a nice break on the ball and good awareness of knowing what's going on around him by George Coghill.
Well, this Claymore defense is really turning it on tonight. And that's what Ernie thinks of it. 2 interceptions for Pallur. Scotland with the ball on their own 35. 3:44 left, 1st half. On the ground to surround Stacey. Stacey cuts back, picks up around 7 yards before he's hit by the strong safety, Johnny Dixon.
One thing about Saran Stacey, he has excellent field of vision. I mean, he can just always find where the hole is going to be. Take a look at his eyes. He's wandering. See him? The play is supposed to go to the left, and he feels and sees that the hole is going to open up to the right side. And he doesn't hesitate to cut and take the hole.
And that's 7 yards nearer the record for Saran Stacey. 2nd and 3. The Claymores looking to build on this 3-point lead. On the ground again. Stacey cuts back, gets close to the 1st down marker with Tom Cavallo, the inside linebacker, on the stop. He had to get to the 45 and will be very close.
Well, I'm telling you that the Frankfurt Galaxy, unless they make an adjustment, they are in trouble defensively. They have not been able to efficiently stop the running game. When they pound in the middle, and they pound and they pound, and they get to 3 yards a clip, they're winning. And at the same time, they're wearing you down.
It is a 1st down at the 45 for the Scottish Claymores. 2.5 minutes to go. On the ground again. Stacey looks to work behind his blocker. Will pick up around 4 yards.
Oh, man! Jared Caello is starting for Ron Dickerson because he's a better lead blocker. And you're going to see him coming right into your lap. Look at the hit he puts on Mark Byers, just blowing the linebacker out of the hole. Boy, that's a fine job by Jared Caello. just lifts him up off his feet like a hydraulic lift. Pulls him right down the hole.
And this is praise indeed from a former defensive player.
That's a 2-minute warning.
The 2-minute warning with Scotland driving, leading by 3. They've got the ball to midfield. We'll take a timeout too. We'll be back in a minute.
7-Up attitude. It's a given. It's the way it makes you feel. It's the lift that you get. It's a rhythm in your step, 'cause it's cool and it's wonderful and it's lemon and lime. 7-Up. It's an up thing. 7-Up. Does it every time. It's clear and it's wonderful and it's totally fine. 7-Up. Hey, it's an up thing.
Where is the one place to carbonate your brain?
The sun's up at Bay Hill, and what a lovely day for a drive. But don't forget to keep your head down, because Bay Hill is Arnold Palmer's place, and the rough edges are there by design. So who helps the business end of this legendary club run smoothly? Office Depot.
Taking care of business.
Office Depot guarantees low prices and 100% satisfaction. Because when you're responsible for the big picture, even small details are important.
Taking care of business.
Lost and Found, hooking up the planet one reunion at a time. Because all the people we've cared for in the past don't have to stay there. Lost and Found, weekends at 8, 7 Central, only on FX.
Tomorrow, catch the action as the Rhine Fire take on the Barcelona Dragons. Direct from the NFL and Fox Sports, it's the World League of American Football. Tomorrow at a special time live starting at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on FX.
Today on Personal FX, we learned that toys are collectible, but molds are even more collectible.
And on Monday, Suzanne Wong is going to be in Oklahoma City with a super collector who collects everything that has to do with Oklahoma. Monday on Personal FX.
Hey, if you enjoy the company of animals, then you'll enjoy the pet department on FX.
What?
A jungle inside the house.
Every day, you'll learn something about pets that might surprise you.
That's a bone.
And see something you might not expect.
Whoa.
We cover everything about pets you've ever thought of.
Do dogs dream?
And a lot of things you never would have thought of.
Look, I've been practicing. Are you ready?
It's a pet show filled with stuff you'll actually be interested in.
And just the right amount of fluff.
The Pet Department. Weekdays at 3, 2 Central, only on FX.
2 minutes left, first half here in Frankfurt. Scotland leading the Galaxy 3-0. Ernie Stortner with problems. He's seen his offense struggle all game. And now his defense is getting pushed around on this drive as well. Scotland with 2 minutes and just 1 timeout left to try and build.
See the concern on his face.
Oh, yeah. Not a happy man. Second down and around 6. Matthews drops the pass, gets pressure, gets it off, and he's looking for Yo Murphy. And he's got him down at the 8-yard line. Murphy coming in ahead of Fred Foggy.
Well, what you're seeing here is you're seeing the maturing of Steve Matthews. He's under pressure, but he remains cool. And he talks about being around Joe Montana and learning from him. And one of the things he's a guy that just is in control all the time.
1:28 left. Scotland really knocking on the door here. And I tell you, you heard the crowd sag on that completion. If you can hear a crowd sag, we heard it.
It took the wind right out of their sails, didn't it? Or out of their lungs.
Or both. Lee Gissendaner checking into the lineup for the Scottish Claymores. Ernie Stortner watching and hoping his defense can hold here. Second down and goal from the 8. Gissendaner is split wide right. They pitch it back to Saran Stacey, who looks at his blockers and is in trouble and is hit for a loss of a couple. Lance Gunn, who's having quite a game at strong safety, came up with the stop.
The defensive line just really created a new line of scrimmage. You'll see right there, they're in the backfield. Don Reynolds, a whole bunch of them. Now, who comes up out of the safety support? There's Lance Gunn, right in the mix of things, right down there with the big guys. And that's what a support guy has to do. When you see the ball tossed outside, your safety has to come up and fill.
Now it's 3rd and goal. Yo Murphy split wide right. LaChapelle in the slot. Matthews gets it off, can't find LaChapelle. Fred Foggy on the coverage, and Murphy was hurried. And that'll bring out Paul McCallum to attempt another field goal. He's already good for 32. 5 of 5 on the season with a long of 39. Former soccer player in Scotland. Then went and kicked in Canada for a while in the CFL. Played for 4 CFL teams.
Well, talking with Jim Kreiner said that in order for them to win, they have to be patient, take advantage of their mistakes.
27 yards, certainly long enough and wide. And that's the first miss. And for a Scottish Claymores kicker this season, he just put it wide.
Well, you have to be able to score. One of the things we were talking, Jim said, you need to take advantage of their mistakes and take what they give you. Well, they're giving you a field goal right here at about 29 yards. And you need to capitalize on this. 3 points isn't much of a lead, and they're trying to get 6. It's still only a touchdown away. You can see the frustration right there with Paul McCallum. He knew when he put his plant foot down that it was going to be wide.
And in a game as close as this, you wonder if that's going to come back and haunt the Claymores later on. Now, the Galaxy will have 44 seconds left and no timeouts to try and hit back. Pallur gets hit. This Claymores defense is all over the place. That was Herman Carroll coming up with it.
Herman Carroll got the start tonight because he's a better pass rusher, pure pass rusher. He's kind of out of the mold of a Charles Haley, even looks like him. And there he beats big George Hageman. Right around the corner, he's in the face of Steve Pallur. He takes him down like any good defensive lineman does when he gets around a quarterback, Nick.
You would know, Bill. You did it once, didn't you, in your 10 years career?
I had 1 sack, yeah.
One?
Thanks, Nick. Thanks for remembering that one.
A loss of 6 on the play. And flags come in, and there was movement at the line of scrimmage. Ty Park certainly was jumping around, whether he was drawn or not.
Prior to the snap, full start, 64 off.
He was indeed drawn.
5-yard penalty, still second down.
Charles Hope, the guilty party.
And that makes it second and around 21.
You can see right here, Charles Hope, number 64, to the right in the middle there, between Hageman and Pallur. See him jump a little early? He had the down block on Ty Parton and wanted to knock him silly. Got a little excited.
Now Pallur will just drop to one knee because there's no point in being a hero here.
There's no point. They want to go into halftime and sit down and make their gestures. They're frustrated. The coach is frustrated. The offense is frustrated. The defense is getting worn down a little bit. They want to get into the locker room.
It's been a bad first half for the Frankfurt Galaxy. It's been a good one for the Scottish Claymores. The bottom line, Scotland have just a 3-point lead. It could have been more, but Jim Kreiner must be happy with what he's seen. We're going to take a break. We're back after this.
Mom, how do I love thee?
Watch FX and count the ways with FX Mother's Day, creatively yours.
Join us this Sunday when we celebrate Mother's Day with your FX TV tributes to Mom.
That's right, starting in the afternoon.
We'll be showcasing the mom masterpieces that you created.
Plus, get motherly advice all day long, because every FX show will be mom-related.
Darling, eat something. You're so skinny. So grab Mom and watch FX together.
It's FX Mother's Day, creatively yours, all day tomorrow, only on FX. Brought to you by Huggies and FX.
So why did you leave AT&T?
I fell for the gimmicks.
I was just auditioning different companies.
And I thought, well, gosh, maybe I'll try it and just see. And I'm disappointed. I miss AT&T.
AT&T misses you, too. So we're making it easy to come back.
Anything that makes my life easier, I'm for it.
How does up to 100 free AT&T minutes sound?
I like free minutes.
We'll send you AT&T long-distance certificates good for up to 100 free minutes, just for switching back to AT&T.
100 free minutes, I'm there.
There's more.
Keep hitting.
Only AT&T customers can get AT&T True Reach savings.
Whoa, what's that?
Well, spend $25 a month, and you save 25% to anyone, anytime, anywhere in the U.S.
I think it's right on the money.
And you're covered on every type of call on your AT&T phone bill. AT&T calling card calls, AT&T cellular long distance, collect calls you receive, even fax and modem calls. Pretty comprehensive, huh?
That's what I like about it.
Does it cost anything to sign up?
Nope, doesn't cost a thing.
Could you please be more enthusiastic?
All you have to do is call 1-800-GET-TRUE. So, have I convinced you yet?
I like what I see.
but I kind of want to see more.
Yeah, I'd like to see what I'm saving.
I want something that I can easily read, see where my savings are, and go, yes, I'm getting a good deal.
You got it. AT&T puts your savings right on your phone bill.
She could show it to me. She goes, look how much money I saved.
What more could you ask for?
How about this? You're backed by AT&T's world-class customer service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
What have I got to do to come back to you guys?
Call that number to switch now, and you'll get up to 100 free AT&T minutes. So, what do you think?
I think it sounds great.
Just with 100 free minutes, that sounds wonderful. 25% across the board.
And I know that the service is there. Can't get any better than that.
Well,
I think we'll switch.
Good decision.
Thank you.
You know what to do.
That's your true choice, AT&T.
Today's halftime highlights are brought to you by Ryder. We're there when you need us.
The World League. By nature, it brings us a kaleidoscope of cultures. Not just the sights, but the sounds as well. But the differences in the audio experience of World League football aren't limited to the stadium stands. As the TV viewer outside of America hears a different type of commentary, one you wouldn't mistake for Summerall and Madden.
Der eigenen 32-Yard-Linie Singleback-Formation für die Admirals. Kurzer Dropback, dann dieser Swing Pass auf die Außenseite. TC Wright hat ihn gefangen, immer noch Wright am Ball. Ein Cut zurück zur Mitte. Raumgewinn für ihn etwa 5, vielleicht 6 Yards. Tackle wurde gemacht von Johnny Dixon.
But the real difference in sound is down on the field, where full-access cameramen and mic'd coaches bring the inside game right into your living room.
Let me ask you a question. We've not received one single warning the entire ball game.
Now, you know that's not true.
No, I'm the backup coach. You didn't tell me once today.
I've been telling your coach you coach all day.
I'm the backup coach.
Coach, I've been telling I've been telling you all day.
I am the backup coach.
I have been telling you all day to get your players
back. You haven't told me one time.
One of the nationals had to be on. If they're not, we're going to be some here.
Come back. Come back. Frankfurt this year.
Hey! John! John! Watch your face!
This man's bad. This man's bad. Yeah.
Sammy! Sammy! Sammy!
That is bull.
That's right!
Yeah, get your
Hey, is that thing on in there? All right. You ready for some real action?
The World League of American Football. There's nothing else like it. Now, official World League products are available in the U.S. only through this exclusive offer. Call 1-800-635-4438 to own the colors of the London Monarchs, Scottish Claymores, Amsterdam Admirals, Frankfurt Galaxy, Rhine Fire, and the Barcelona Dragons. Replica jerseys in official team colors only $39.99. T-shirts only $14.99. World League football $69.99. And assorted team hats only $14.99. Remember, all teams are available. So call 1-800-635-4438. This is your only opportunity to buy official World League products. Don't miss it. Call now with your credit card order or write to the address on your screen. Refer to source number 001747 on all orders.
One of the ways Ryder makes your move easier is with a computerized reservation system that makes short work of paperwork. Because the sooner you get your move started, the sooner you're finished. Ryder, we're there when you need us.
Look, you have got to go to Office Depot and see for yourself. Office Depot has the best selection.
I buzz in, I get what I want, and I'm gone.
Either call or fax your order in. You can have delivery the very next day. Office Depot has a great catalog with everything from A to Z. Office Depot, the best.
Office Depot, taking care of business for companies of every size, everywhere, every day.
Baby Ruth, who can resist all that rich nougat and caramel? And all those crunchy roasted peanuts. Just what you need to get going.
Showtime!
Baby Ruth from Nestle. This baby gets you going.
welcome back to half-time. As the quarterback for the Scottish Claymores, Steve Matthews knows that it's his job to run the offense, but he also knows that he doesn't have to be a one-man gang.
I've been in situations in the past where if I didn't get it done, we were probably going to lose the game. Now I'm in a situation where there's so many good players around me that I can just pretty much orchestrate things and just, you know, if we have to punt, that's okay. We got a great defense. They're going to get us the ball back, and we don't really, you know, if we score 21 points, we're going to win 9 out of 10 times. And it's just, you know, it's the point where I'm just trying not to make too many mistakes. You know, I know being a quarterback and touching the ball every play, you got to make plays, and I think I'm doing enough of that.
After a standout career at Memphis State, Matthews was drafted by Kansas City. Although he's thousands of miles from Coach Marty Schottenheimer, he knows Big Brother is watching.
After every game, you know, he can send a congratulation notes and a fax, and just, you know, he sends a letter and then a little fax of, you know, what he viewed on the game. And it's been all positive, everything I received from him so far, so that's good. And I know that, you know, he might not, I don't know, he doesn't know what it's like over here, and he wants everybody to keep their heads up, and no matter what, just keep going out there and giving all you got. And, you know, he's a great coach, and it shows him what he's been able to do with the Chiefs. And, you know, and it's nice to know that they're paying attention to what he's doing, and that means a lot. He's a relaxed type person, much like I am, and you get a lot of quarterbacks who think that they got to change their personality or be like a coach or kind of be some kind of figure where they can't hang out with the players and just be one of the guys. And I learned that, you know, that's how he was. He was just relaxed, you know, just was himself, and was one of the guys off the field and went out and did his job on the field. And it was great being around him. You know, I can't sit here and say how much I learned from him. It was too much. I love it over there. It's been great. You know, the people have been fantastic. You know, we stay in a nice hotel, and the fans there are really catching on to what we're trying to do, and, you know, we're winning, which makes everything a lot nicer. And yeah, I'm having a fabulous time getting to see the different things and meeting different people than what I'm used to. Everybody on the team is, you know, we're all uniting as a team together over there, and it's been a fabulous time.
And now AT&T presents the Play of the Week. In a rematch of the 1995 World Bowl, the 1-2 Amsterdam Admirals travel to Frankfurt to take on the 3-0 Galaxy. Playing like champions, the Galaxy built a commanding lead. Never down and out, Admiral quarterback Will Fuhrer threw 4 straight touchdowns, bringing Amsterdam back to within just 6 points. Late in the game, with their quarterback sidelined and the offense sputtering, Frankfurt's Bobby Phillips shouldered the load, spoiling the Admirals' upset with his second rushing touchdown of the afternoon, leaving the Frankfurt fans and players flipping over the Galaxy's undefeated record. AT&T salutes Bobby Phillips and his Play of the Week.
Once upon a time, there was a fairy princess who looked a lot like you. And she had a magic wand, too.
Action Lane remembers the old porch gliders, but ours have comfortable padding and a unique gliding mechanism for a smoother, gentler ride indoors.
Once upon a time, there was a fairy princess. Your grandpa used to say it was just like me.
Introducing the new glider recliner from Action Lane. Call 1-800-700-1233 for your local dealer and a free buyer's guide.
They're still back there.
Don't worry, love. You're riding in the world's first sport utility wagon.
I am.
That's right. This is the all-wheel drive Subaru Outback.
That's great.
You know, it's got more cargo space than a passport.
Uh-huh.
The ground clearance of an Explorer.
Yeah, but...
Oh, did I mention, it gets much better gas mileage than a Jeep Cherokee.
Outback, you say?
Subaru Outback. The world's first sport utility wagon.
Every town has its share of conflict.
I'm a transsexual.
Well, my daughter's in his class.
Every town has its share of tragedies.
Is he going to die?
Dear God in heaven. And through all the struggles,
I don't even know who you are anymore.
every family must find a way to triumph.
The good in this world still outweighs the evil.
The people, the problems, the solutions. Take a look beyond the picket fences. Weekends at 7, 6 Central on FX.
This is a nail. This is a hammer.
Is this you?
Well, this can be you after watching Fix It, FX's easy guide to home repair and improvement. Host Jeff Probst asks all the right questions, and Kat Ryman, FX's very own Fix It expert, packs a tool belt full of answers.
Yeah.
We are home with the involved viewer here.
Fix It, weekdays at 3:30, 2:30 Central, only on FX.
Sawing is believing. Woo!
Welcome back to Frankfurt. Nick Halling with Bill Mast, formerly of the Kansas City Chiefs. Scotland leading Frankfurt 3-0 in what's been a very intense, defensively dominated first half of play. So much at stake for both these teams. Remember, the winner will host the World Bowl in 6 weeks' time. And both teams know it, and they're playing as if they know it as well. It's been tough, uncompromising, brutal all the way. And really, Scotland have racked up some yards, but haven't racked up the points. And it's Scotland that need to win this. Obviously, if they're going to host the World Bowl, Frankfurt, if they win it, they'll host the World Bowl. But it's been tough all the way, Bill.
It's been a tough defensive battle. You can see these two defenses are playing tough. 200 yards they've had of offense. I'm talking about Scotland, and yet they only have 3 points. And by no means is this a boring game, because there's been a lot of big plays, turnovers, long passes. And you see right here, it's Frankfurt's 4-0 and Scotland's 3-1, and this game is it. Talk to these guys. They said this is the World Bowl. Make no mistake about it.
Yes, the winner takes all tonight. They'll be back in this stadium in 6 weeks' time if Frankfurt win it. If Scotland win it, the World Bowl will be played in Edinburgh against the team with the best record overall at the end of the season. The World Bowl taking place towards the end of June. Ernie Storner hoping that his team will be back to defend the title they won last year on Sunday the 23rd of June. Will it be here or at Murrayfield? We'll know in 2 quarters of play. I think the good news for Scotland, their defense has been terrific. The bad news is 200 yards, only 3 points.
Yeah, and at some point in time, that'll reach up and grab you and pull you down in that hole that you don't want to be in. They've got to generate points. They've been down inside the scoring zone several times now. Now, once they missed a field goal, and remember early on in the first quarter, they had a fumble down there. Another chance to put points on the board, and came away with nothing. So, as much as they're getting the ball down there, they're also hurting themselves once they get down there.
Jim Criner's ready, the Claymores are ready, the Galaxy and these fans are theirs already. No question that the fans are out of this game by any stretch of the imagination. And it's going to be fielded at around the 18-yard line by Gary Harrell, who gets past the first guy and down to about the 26-yard line. Frank Robinson on the stop. There's confirmation of those first half numbers we talked about, a couple of turnovers each, but look at all those yards for the Claymores.
203 yards total offense. And surprisingly, most of it's been by the pass. They've got some big plays at Sean LaChapelle. But see the yellow down the bottom there in turnovers? I mean, that's going to get you at some point in time, and it has in the scoreboard.
And the Galaxy have made the switch. Brad Bretts comes in at quarterback. Now, there's a feeling around the league that Bretts would be a starter just about anywhere else. Let's see what he can do here. On the ground to start with Ingo Seibert, who's strung out, manages to turn the corner. What a gutsy play. James Williams eventually on the stop, but Seibert bought every yard of that.
Well, John DeWitt does a nice job of stringing it out at the defensive end position. Now, George Coghill comes up and fills on Wes Bender. He has to remain on the outside shoulder. He doesn't. He gives it up. And Ingo Seibert turns the corner just enough for a pickup. He's only about 6 to 8 inches off there. He needs to stay outside more.
He's still hurt. Twisted as he landed and was hit in the back. Bretts, while Seibert gets some attention, Brad Bretts came on in relief of Paul Justin last year in Scotland and orchestrated a terrific effort for the Frankfurt Galaxy. 3 touchdowns, very calm, very composed sort of guy. He won't be flustered no matter what the circumstances.
Well, I'm anxious to see what kind of adjustments the Frankfurt Galaxy offense has made in halftime. And now they come back out with a new quarterback, and the first thing they do is they run the ball. Are they trying to establish the run now? Because we saw Brad Bretts last week come in for an injured Steve Pelor, and all they did was run the ball. Are they going to make some offensive changes in their pass routes? Or are they just going to stick with their game plan and think that execution is the problem?
Well, Ingo Seibert picked up 5 yards on the carry. We'll certainly sit the next play out at least. He's down on the field there for a good couple of minutes. The ball at the 30-yard line, 2nd down and 5 for Frankfurt with a new quarterback. Steve Pelor had a rough first half. Mario Bailey is split wide right on 2nd down. Brett drops to pass, swing pass into the flat. They've got past Fuller, and that's going to be close to first down yardage. Herman Carroll on the stop after a pickup of about 3 for Bobby Phillips.
Well, Bobby Phillips did that all on his own. He could have been, should have been, tackled in the backfield for no gainer. And he picks up a couple yards on the play, and now it's 3rd and about 2.5. And it's not a bad position for this Galaxy offense to be in. They need to generate some first downs and get the ball out of their end of the territory.
They haven't been able to do that very much in this ball game so far. Brett with the pitch back. And some work to do, but it's a first down and a lot more. That's a big play for Bobby Phillips. Forey Duckett eventually pushed him out of bounds, but the man from the Minnesota Vikings turned the corner and turned on the afterburners.
Well, it's easy to turn the corner when you get drugged down like Martin Drever does here to John DeWitt. He just pulls him right to the ground. You see him sprawling, and he comes up, and he's angry there's no flag. And that turns the whole thing open for the corner from Bobby Phillips.
No flag. The Galaxy in Scotland territory at the 46-yard line. Brad Brett's at quarterback, looking to generate something. Drops, fires, complete, first down. They're making it look easy now. Mike Bellamy pushed out of bounds by James Williams, but a pickup of 14.
Some interesting stuff going on here. You come out with a new quarterback, try a couple running plays, you have a little bit of success, and now you're down in scoring zone. He remained poised back there in the pocket, and he found Mike Bellamy.
And for the first time in the game, it's the Scotland defense that are wondering what they have to do. The ball at their 30-yard line. The pitch back is to Bobby Phillips, who is strung out, cuts back and picks up around 5 yards. There's a fumble, is there? The Claymores certainly think they have a fumble. Now, what are the officials going to call? It looks as if George Coghill's been told they're not having it. And it's a second down. The Galaxy rolling the dice.
Galaxy also rolling on the offensive line. It looks like they made the decision at halftime to come out and run the ball. And they are. They're doing it effectively.
Second down and 5 after the pickup of 5 from Bobby Phillips, who certainly started off the second half a lot more sharply. Whistles, flags.
Well, Ernie Stotner told him to hurry it up, and he didn't get the snap off in time.
Prior to the snap, false start, 95 offense, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
It's George Hegeman, the big right tackle.
Steve Pallure just came out of the tunnel right now. Now, he came out with a team at halftime. He must have gone back in. And he's warming up. He's throwing the ball over there. Not sure if he got that arm looked at again from the injury from last week or what the problem was.
Loss of 5 yards on the penalty makes it second down and 10. Bretts drops, deep drop. Pressure comes from Joe O'Brien. Bretts gets it off high, in and out of the hands. David Wilson had the coverage. Bobby Phillips couldn't quite pick it up.
And now for Galaxy, you're back to a situation where you're 3rd and 10.
Steve Pallure has had physical problems, we understand. He's had taken a pain-killing injection in his ribs. But frankly, with the numbers that he was putting up, certainly Ernie Stotner was thinking of making a switch earlier than that.
Well, I remember the shot. Remember David Webb?
Yeah.
He stood in there and took the hit.
On 3rd down, Bretts is hit from behind by Wilson. And he's finished off by George Coghill, and a loss of 10 yards.
Pick your spots. That's what you do when you blitz. And that's what you do when Scotland does. Watch number 22 to the right of your screen, James Williams. He's the corner. And they line up, and they line up close to the line of scrimmage like you're playing man, except they don't. They were disguising the coverage, and he comes flying off the corner and is not picked up by anybody.
Well, James Williams, a 35th round draft choice last year. Just one of those underachievers. Kevin Feary will kick it away. Flags come in. Lee Gissendaner calls for a fair catch at the 15, and he makes it, but there are flags. And that a disappointing series in the end for the Frankfurt Galaxy. Scotland's defense decided to stand up. Now let's wait for the call. And it's gone against
illegal procedure against
Frankfurt Galaxy.
Against the Galaxy. Yeah, they had some movement on the line of scrimmage.
There was an illegal formation against the kicking team. Only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. Number 58 was uncovered. The penalty is refused. First down.
So the Claymores defense held firm. Brad Bretz has been rudely introduced to the game. The big hit from James Williams. Scotland preserved their 3-point lead. 10:44 to go, third quarter.
So why did you leave AT&T?
I fell for the gimmicks.
I was just auditioning different companies.
And I thought, well, gosh, maybe I'll try it and just see. And I'm disappointed. I miss AT&T.
AT&T misses you too. So we're making it easy to come back.
Anything that makes my life easier, I'm for it.
How does up to 100 free AT&T minutes sound?
I like free minutes.
We'll send you AT&T long-distance certificates good for up to 100 free minutes, just for switching back to AT&T.
100 free minutes, I'm there.
There's more.
Keep hitting.
Only AT&T customers can get AT&T True Reach savings.
Whoa, what's that?
Well, spend $25 a month, and you save 25% to anyone, anytime, anywhere in the U.S.
I think it's right on the money.
And you're covered on every type of call on your AT&T phone bill. AT&T calling card calls, AT&T cellular long distance, collect calls you receive, even fax and modem calls. Pretty comprehensive, huh?
That's what I like about it.
Does it cost anything to sign up?
Nope, doesn't cost a thing.
Could you please be more enthusiastic?
All you have to do is call 1-800-GET-TRUE. So, have I convinced you yet?
I like what I see, but I kind of want to see more.
Yeah, I'd like to see what I'm saving.
I want something I can easily read, see where my savings are, and go, yes, I'm getting a good deal.
You got it. AT&T puts your savings right on your phone bill.
She could show it to me. She goes, look how much money I saved.
What more could you ask for?
How about this? You're backed by AT&T's world-class customer service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
What have I got to do to come back to you guys?
Call that number to switch now, and you'll get up to 100 free AT&T minutes. So, what do you think?
I think it sounds great.
Just with 100 free minutes, that sounds wonderful. 25% across the board.
And I know that the service is there. Can't get any better than that.
Well,
I think we'll switch.
Good decision.
Thank you. You know what to do.
That's your true choice, AT&T.
Sean Burke will stop at nothing to bring you the best collectible show ever.
It tastes like lemonade, and it's a laxative.
Live tasty television on Personal FX, the collectible show, only on FX.
So 4 yards on the carry for Saran Stacey brings up a 2nd down and 6 for the Scottish Claymores, still protecting that 3-point lead. Just over 10 minutes to go, third quarter. Nick Halling along with Bill Mars watching an absorbing defensive battle here. Stacey cuts back, pushes and shoves his way for a 1st down. Pushed Don Reynolds and Bernard Carter back about 3 yards on his own.
Well, that was what you saw there was a little trap play. And they pulled Purvis Hunt from the other side of the line of scrimmage, from the right side, over, and he just kicked out Mike Kirk. And the hole opened up, and that led the fullback, Jared Carriello, up there.
Looks like Steve Pallura is checking out of the game. He was given a painkiller, was trying to warm up, and you could see the pain in his face as he was throwing. Matthews gives to Stacey, who trips and forwards for about 4 yards. Lance Gunn on the stop. Saran Stacey must be closing in on that World League rushing record.
When I talked about Saran Stacey earlier, I said he has an innate ability of finding the hole. He follows his lead blocker up to that point. You see the cut he makes because he knows where the hole is going to open up. Great peripheral vision he has, and that's one thing I like to see about him. He's always going forward.
Well, Scotland have had so much offense in this game, but still just the 1 field goal in it. Matthews drops the pass, fires, looks for Yo Murphy, who is hit immediately by Fred Foggy, out of bounds, short of 1st down yardage at about the 35.
And when you run the ball that effectively, it really sets up your play-action passes.
And Saran Stacey is now the all-time leading rusher, breaking the record set by Eric Wilkerson of the New Jersey Knights. Saran Stacey, 1 yard better than Wilkerson. So he better not lose any yardage on a play, otherwise the record will go back to Wilkerson. 3rd and not much. Stacey gets it and has done enough. A flag comes in the offensive backfield.
You know what that means. One of the big guys up front was holding.
Mark Byers on the stop, but I think we can all guess what this call is going to be, and Jim Kreiner doesn't need to be told.
holding, 79 offense, 10-yard penalty, third down.
Purvis Hunt, the guard, the culprit, Houston Oilers player. And that pushes it back to 3rd and long, just over 10 to go now, after they'd made a first down. Well, in the first half, their 3rd down man was Sean LaChapelle. Murphy is split wide right. Wide left, rather. LaChapelle is wide right. Play action. Murphy gets time, goes over the middle, overthrows his man. And the ball just dropped harmlessly, which was lucky for Matthews. And that'll bring out the punting unit. So that holding call against Purvis Hunt really hurting the Claymores there.
They put them in a hole, Nick, and it's 3rd and 10, and that's a tough situation to be in.
Gary Harrell, the return man for Frankfurt, stands at about his own 32-yard line. Paul McCallum ready to kick it away. Still just 3 points in it. Low snap. McCallum fields it. The pressure came. McCallum got it off. Harrell fields on the run at about his 45. Beats the first guys. Past midfield and out of bounds at the Claymores 42. David Wilson, the man that pushed him out of bounds, but you just get the feeling the momentum is swinging.
Well, they have a flag on the field, and what it's going to be again is illegal man downfield on the punt team, because they skipped the ball back there on the snap.
Ineligible player downfield on the kicking team, number 91. The penalty is refused. First down.
Robert Flickinger.
The backup tight end. So Ernie Stautner's men starting to move. 7:47 to go, 3rd quarter. We'll be back.
That isn't the last one, is it?
Yeah, why?
Did I mention that I found the negatives from your bachelor party?
Be a shame if Carla found out about that whole Niagara thing.
Can you say cubic zirconia?
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light.
Room service.
Hollywood Pictures presents Leslie Nielsen as Secret Agent Dick Steele.
We're approaching the search and target area. Steele, you crazy fool!
He's undercover, over the edge, and up to speed.
Next stop, Melrose, I think.
Spy hard.
Houston, we have a problem.
Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, May 24th at a theater near you.
With Ryder, you can drive off with great rates. So whether it's cross-town or cross-country, don't make a move without calling Ryder first. Call 1-800-GO-RYDER.
Looking for something?
Yeah, that dime from Sprint's long-distance plan.
Having trouble finding it, huh?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the dark.
Well, that's because depending on when you call, the Sprint Sense rate isn't always a dime. In fact, it could be a quarter.
That puts a whole new light on things.
And on average, most people can save more with AT&T True Read Savings than with Sprint Sense when they spend just $25 a month. So, what do you think?
I think I found what I'm looking for.
That's your true choice, AT&T.
Baby Ruth, who can resist all that rich nougat and caramel? And all those crunchy roasted peanuts. Just what you need to get going.
Showtime!
Baby Ruth from Nestle. This baby gets you going.
Welcome back to Frankfurt. Nick Halling with Bill Mars, formerly of the Kansas City Chiefs. And Bill, Frankfurt still with no points on the board, but I can't remember the last time they started in field position like this.
Well, they have great field position, and special teams creates that.
Frankfurt with a first down on Scotland's 42-yard line. 7:47 to go, 3rd quarter. Brad Brett still in for the injured Steve Pallur at quarterback. Brett pump fakes, goes long, looks for Mario Bailey, picked off by the Claymores defense again. James Fuller against the team that cut him in pre-season.
Well, there's a lot of emotion building up around this game for obvious reasons. One of them was James Fuller. He's taking this very personal. He was cut in training camp this year by the Galaxy. And he just makes a perfect play on that ball. knowing exactly where it's going to be, like he was with this team before, Nick.
It's a funny coincidence, that one, isn't it? And you know what? Every time the Galaxy have threatened, the Claymores defense has come up with a turnover or a big loss. In goes Seibert getting treatment on the sideline. He was banged up earlier in this third quarter. Now Steve Matthews inside his own 10. Steps up, gets pressure, looks for LaChapelle to the 38-yard line and beats a man as well. He's eventually dragged down by Lance Gunn. Fred Foggy was the first man there, but that's all the way to midfield, 42 yards, and LaChapelle has done it again.
He sure did. It was a nice catch on Sean LaChapelle. And one of the things talked about Sean LaChapelle is when he gets into a defensive back, and he's great coming out and going after the ball. Right here, he just makes his move once he's into his defender, and he goes up after the ball, and he's big enough and strong enough to come down with it.
First down, back on the ground for the Scottish Claymores, who pick up around 3. Tom Caballo, the inside linebacker, bringing up the World League all-time leading rusher, Siran Stacey. That'll bring up second down and about 7 to go, close to midfield.
Well, that last play, Steve Matthews was actually lucky.
Look at those numbers for LaChapelle. 4 catches, all of them huge.
He had a number of receivers open on the field, but right now it seems to be he's looking to make something happen. He's looking for the long ball. He needs to remain being patient.
Second down, Matthews, pump fakes, has a lot of time, now decides to run and left it too late, just pitches it out to Randy Bierman, the left tackle, and flags come in. Don Reynolds eventually on the stop, but I don't think he can pitch it out to a left tackle.
And like I said, he's trying to make something happen.
Illegal touching of the football by an ineligible receiver, number 72.
I mean, you can't blame Randy Bierman for that. The ball was thrown straight at him.
That's a shame when you have to get your number called for that. It wasn't his fault, was it?
No, that should go against the quarterback, that one.
But Steve Matthews is trying to make something happen here. And it's too early in this game for him to start forcing and pressuring himself into making something happen. Because once he does that, normally bad things happen to him. He needs to remain poised and take the sure things. March the team downfield slowly.
Third down, and a big one for the Scottish Claymores, looking to build on this slender lead. Play action again. Matthews steps up, dumps it off to midfield. It's short of first down yardage. They swarmed in on Siran Stacey. Lance Gunn, the safety man, the first man there. And the punting unit will come out for Scotland as these defenses are playing it so tough.
Nice job by the front 4 guys up there. Mike Kerr, Don Reynolds, Big John Baker. Obvious pass situation, and obviously the offensive linemen know it's a pass situation also, as well. And there's a one-on-one battle up front. And that time, there was enough pressure. They forced Steve Matthews out of the pocket.
McCallum gets the punt off. Takes a bounce on a nice Scotland hop inside the 10, down to about the 8-yard line, where it's down by George Coghill. Not the best punt in the world from Paul McCallum, but it took a nice Scotland bounce. They lead the Frankfurt Galaxy 3-0.
So, are you with AT&T?
No.
Oh, how's your long-distance company working out for you?
I'm not happy at all.
Well, what if I gave you some really good reasons to switch to AT&T, including up to 100 free AT&T minutes?
That would be wonderful.
Only AT&T customers can get AT&T True Reach savings.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, spend $25 a month and you save 25% on every type of call on your AT&T phone bill.
It's easy.
It's free. You can call anyone, anywhere in the U.S. and you see your savings on your AT&T phone bill.
I don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure it out.
No, but you do have to be an AT&T customer. Switch now and we'll send you AT&T long-distance certificates, good for up to 100 free AT&T minutes. You can use your free minutes to call, well, anybody. So, what are you gonna do?
Switch to AT&T.
Good. Then why not give us a call right now?
You didn't ask me what I was going to do.
Okay. Who's the long-distance company for you?
It's hands down AT&T.
That's your true choice, AT&T.
Lost and found, hooking up the planet one reunion at a time. Because all the people we've cared for in the past don't have to stay there. Lost and Found, weekends at 8, 7 Central, only on FX.
Every day, America Online is making it a little easier for people to live, work, and play. With point-and-click access to instant news and sports, financial updates, online magazines, shopping and travel, and easy access to the internet. Call now for America Online.
A new way to use your computer to communicate and have fun.
Call 1-800-541-0100 now for your free America Online Startup Kit with free software and 15 free online hours. It's everything you need to get online, so call today.
Tomorrow, catch the action as the Rhine Fire take on the Barcelona Dragons. Direct from the NFL and Fox Sports, it's the World League of American Football. Tomorrow at a special time live starting at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on FX.
This week on our Mother's Day Back Chat meets the mini moms of FX.
We'll also salute the FX good guys.
And what is the Back Chat? Only the latest dance craze to sweep the nation. Find out on Back Chat. That's Back Chat, Sunday 4, 3 Central.
Welcome back. Scotland leading Frankfurt 3-0. Steve Pallor, bruised ribs, probably won't return, and he seems to be in a bit of pain every time he throws the ball. Look at that.
You can see him grimacing right there. And you know, you have to wonder if what Amsterdam didn't do last week has really rubbed off, and Scotland took note of it. Take him out of the game.
Bobby Phillips on the pitch back will just get back to the line of scrimmage. George Coghill came up from strong safety and laid the hit on Phillips. That'll bring up a second down, probably in around 8 to go.
Frankfurt's offense is out of sync. This is not what they do. This is not the West Coast offense. This is not what they practice. This is not what got them to become 4-0.
If I'd have said to you Frankfurt would not be on the board with less than 5 minutes to go third quarter, you'd have locked me up yesterday, wouldn't you? They haven't even been close.
I do think you're nuts, Nick.
I know that. And it's dropped. A flag comes in. They were looking for Bobby Phillips again. James Williams applying some pressure, but a flag came soaring in from the Claymores backfield. And it's a hold against the Frankfurt Galaxy. That's going to push them even further back. Another 10 yards. And this offense has just struggled all night long in the face of a relentlessly determined Scottish Claymores defense, the #1 ranked defense in the World League. Larry Nemers is about to name the guilty man.
And that defensive coordinator for Scotland is
Ray Wilsey.
Ray Wilsey.
Offense number 64. The penalty is declined. Third down.
Charles Hope, who got fingered earlier. Ray Wilsey was the defensive coordinator here in Frankfurt last year. And he makes a habit of winning World Bowls as a defensive coordinator. Did it with London back in '91. Frankfurt last year.
Defense wins championships, Nick. Defense wins championships.
See, Ray Wilsey wins championships. I think they have to redefine that one. Third down and long. Bretts gets pressure, swings it away. Bobby Phillips slipped and fell. Emmett Waldron had coverage, or in fact it was Wes Bender he was looking for, but I don't think Bender would have got it even if he hadn't slipped. And the punting unit comes out, and 1 or 2 jeers and whistles. But the man they should really be jeering is this fella, Ray Wilsey. 2 Super Bowl rings, 2 World Bowl rings, and what that stat doesn't tell you is 2 Grey Cup wins as well. He's on the second hand already. Kevin Feary punts from his own end zone. Low snap. Handled it well. Lee Gisendana will try and step up. It's a poor kick, but it takes a super Frankfurt bounce. And they picked up about 13 yards on that little hot mark. Byers downs it, but the Scottish Claymores will take over in pretty good field position. Less than 4 minutes to go third quarter. The crowd today very noisy, and 32,000, down a little bit on what some people were saying. There was some talk that it would be 40,000, but the weather's been pretty dodgy here for the last 2 or 3 days. I think a few people have decided to stay at home, but 32,000 is still pretty impressive.
And they're not out of this game yet. At 3-0. I mean, these fans are still enjoying themselves. You see all the confetti being thrown around the place. I'm glad we're inside this booth.
That's not confetti. You were handing out copies of your resume earlier, Bill. I saw you.
The paper shredder got a hold of them?
They found a use for him, Bill. First and 10, Scotland. Saran Stacey gets some running room over the 45 into Frankfurt territory to the 42, and that'll be close to first down yardage. Lance Gunn on the stop.
Do you know what 383 pounds pulling is like? Watch number 79, Purvis Hunt. That's like a Volkswagen coming at you. And he clears the way for Saran Stacey. That's a good job for the big fella moving that fast.
Good enough for a first down as well. Scotland looking to build again. Stacey on the ground, cuts inside, pushes and shoves close to first down yardage again. Tom Cavallo, probably the first guy there. But Saran Stacey is working his blockers and doing a lot of work himself.
Doing a lot of work himself, and look at the work by number 31, Jared Caiallo, on again, Mark Byers. He prized that hole open. It was closed down, and he comes in there like a can opener and just opens that whole thing up. Then Saran Stacey, keeping those feet churning, moves it downfield.
2 running plays, 2 first downs. The ball at Frankfurt's 32. Scotland doing it on the ground this drive. Again, into the backfield. Stacey with a lot of running room. First down and more. Down to the 14-yard line. Lance Gunn on the stop. But Stacey was wide open.
Do you remember the play they ran when they pulled 79 Purvis Hunt? They come back to the other side and pull 71, Tom Barnt. He leads the way up there with Jared Caiallo. And it springs the whole thing open. And there's an open hole, and Saran Stacey takes it. It's a nice play. They created the defense to move over. And then they came out the back door with it.
10, 10, and 16 yards on 3 carries for Stacey. Here's carry number 4, not quite as effective, but he burst through the hole and will pick up around 5 or 6. And it really is time for this Frankfurt defense to stiffen up.
There's 2 parts in playing defensive line. And Baker and Mike Kerr inside know when to rush the passer, and they're good at it. But you've got to stop the run, or you'll never create a situation to rush the passer, because they'll just keep on churning up yards on you. 4 here, 5 there, and work their way downfield. That's where they are now.
Knocking on the door. 2nd down and 5. Stacey gets it again. Cuts back inside, still on his feet, and is eventually stopped by Ed Robinson, just short of the first down marker. But that's 5 straight carries for Saran Stacey, who's moved the ball from his own half to inside the 10 of the Galaxy, and closing in on 100 yards in the process.
Well, they're down at about the 6-7 yard line, and it's important for them to come away with points this time. They've been down there 2 other times and came away with nothing. A fumble and a missed field goal. They need to get some points here.
And they want a first down. Fumble, and Matthews has recovered it, and the offense has spluttered again just when they didn't want it to.
And forced to kick a field goal.
Miscommunication between center and quarterback. Matthews could only fall on it.
Just juggled the snap right there. He didn't pull out early. Everything was on time. Just hit his hands and he juggled the snap.
Now Paul McCallum missed a 27-yard field goal. He's working with a new holder this week, Willie Tate.
When you're in the scoring zone, you need touchdowns.
And 25-yard field goals should be automatic. Certainly long enough. Is it good enough? It is. Scotland have doubled their lead. 27 seconds left. 3rd quarter. Paul McCallum with a 25-yard field goal, but you get the sense that they wanted more there.
Well, they doubled their lead, and they've tripled their yardage, and they've done everything an offense can do except put it in the end zone. And now, Frankfurt, all it needs is a touchdown. They can get it from special teams. They can get it from a long pass. If their defense breaks down, Scotland's defense breaks down, 1 slip, it's in the end zone. It's a 7-6 ball game. So all these yards aren't amounting to anything if it stays at 6 points. They need to put this ball in the end zone.
When you think of the dominance that the Scottish Claymores have enjoyed through 3 quarters, 6 points, not enough.
I've seen it plenty of times. You can't get in the scoring zone and come away with only 3 points. It's a loss. That's a 4-point swing of what you should be getting, and it's going to create a situation just like we have. Frankfurt hasn't done anything, but they're still in the ballgame.
Ray Willsey's defense is going to have to come out and step up once again. Harrell and Phillips, the return men, waiting for Gavin Hastings' kickoff. Hastings, the former Scottish rugby union captain.
Let's go.
And it's going to be fielded by Bobby Phillips at about, mishandles it at about the 16 and is hit. And any time you see a returner juggle the ball, you know he's in trouble. And David Wilson, I think, the first man there. And the Frankfurt Galaxy will take over at about their own 24. Brad Bretz stays in at quarterback. Steve Fuller still hurt.
They need to get something going this drive. And they need to generate some excitement so they can get this thing going throughout the 4th quarter and still have a chance to pull this ball game out.
All those yards, incidentally, on that scoring drive came on Saran Stacey runs.
Think his back's hurt?
But they stalled when they needed him. when they needed it most. On the ground go the Frankfurt Galaxy. That's a nice little draw play. Loose ball.
Down, the ball's down. The ground knocked it out. They're going to spot it there for a first down. And it's a little bit of, well, we're going to come back at you with what you're getting us with. A little taste of your own medicine.
And that'll do it. As far as the third quarter is concerned, 15 minutes left. Scotland leading Frankfurt in the World Bowl decider, 6 points to nothing.
All over the world. Turns out we're part of the biggest event during the summer games, the beer run. The Bud World Party continues, round the clock, around the world.
So you can't keep up with your old ma, huh? Not with this headache. Where's your Tylenol? Oh, it's Advil now. Mom, you never used anything but Tylenol. Well, times change. There you go. You know, these days it's Advil I trust. A lot of people do. And you know, 2 Advil work better on tough headaches than any 2 extra-strength Tylenol. Welcome to the 90s, Mom. Why, thank you.
For safe and effective pain relief, Advil. Nothing is proven to work better or last longer.
7 Up attitude.
It's a given. It's the way it makes you feel. It's the lift that you get. It's a rhythm in your step. 'Cause it's cool and it's wonderful and it's lemon and lime. 7 Up. It's an up thing. 7 Up. Does it every time. It's clear and it's wonderful and it's totally fine. 7 Up. Hey, it's an up thing.
Check out the hottest alternative music online.
Mom, how do I love thee?
Watch FX and count the ways with FX Mother's Day, creatively yours.
Join us this Sunday when we celebrate Mother's Day with your FX TV tributes to Mom. That's right, starting in the afternoon.
We'll be showcasing the mom masterpieces that you created.
Plus, get motherly advice all day long, because every FX show will be mom-related.
Darling, eat something. You're so skinny.
So grab Mom and watch FX together.
It's FX Mother's Day, creatively yours, all day tomorrow, only on FX. Brought to you by Sara Lee and FX.
Today's game has been brought to you by Bud Light, official sponsor of the 1996 Summer Olympic Games. Make it a Bud Light. And by Advil, advanced medicine for pain. And by 7 Up, it's an up thing. And by AT&T, official sponsor of the 1996 U.S. Olympic team.
Nick Halling along with Bill Maas here in Frankfurt. Bill, Frankfurt trailing by 6. Their offense has struggled all night long. What do they have to do?
They've got 15 minutes, Nick, and to host the World Bowl. And that comes down to, they've been fortunate to create a situation where they're only down by a touchdown to be back in this game. They need to throw the ball. Caress the hand that feeds you. Throwing the ball is what got them to 4-0. They can't win this game by on the ground.
First down, Brett takes Bill Master's advice and throws, but he just couldn't find Mario Bailey, James Williams in on the coverage. It would have been a first down, but Bailey couldn't pick it up.
And you saw the man-to-man coverage there by James Williams. He was all over his receiver, and they have to do that. And that was their game plan coming in, and that's what has created all the timing problems.
You know, all those wide receivers the Galaxy have, Bailey, Harrell, Harrison, Bellamy, Kearney, we've hardly called any of them tonight. Second down and 10. Bailey is wide left. Over the middle, they've got Bailey, who's close to first down yardage. That's what they needed. James Williams on the coverage, but that a well-thrown pass from Brad Bretz.
Mario Bailey, you knew he was going to get into the picture sometime. He's one of their best receivers. And he gets James Williams turned around. He starts like he's going on a streak pattern, and he gets him turned around and then cuts inside on a slant. On the other end of it, there was a play action by Brad Bretz. He just waits till the guy gets open.
To the 44-yard line. Bretz with a deep drop gets pressure, manages to dump it off to Wes Bender, who gets past the first guy but can't get past the second, and his gang tackle George
Coghill. This defense swarms. Ray Wilsey tells his guys, you're not going to play on this defense unless you can run to the ball. He wants everybody on the tackle. George Coghill comes flying into it. It's a nice screenplay. Michael Batiste leads the way out there. He gets into George Coghill, shucks him off, and comes up there and makes a play. It's a beautiful thing this defense is playing.
You know, George Coghill never got into an NFL camp last summer. You think he will this year?
He can hit some people. I'll tell you, if you're looking for a hitting strong safety, applications are at Scott.
Bretts has got Bobby Phillips, who's met by James Fuller, who is playing like a man who's been personally insulted. The man that was cut by Frankfurt earlier this season. And he's taken that on board. Just a 1-yard gain brings up 3rd down and 9. And this defense has given Frankfurt nothing all night long.
Third and 9, and that's what you want as a defense. Now defensive linemen pin their ears back.
And Brad Bretts has got to try and convert it here. Motion from Jay Kearney. Bretts with time goes over the middle. Kearney's got the first down. Found the seam. Mark Sander on the stop, but a pickup of around 11 for Kearney.
Excellent job by Jay Kearney in finding the first down marker. The ball was thrown to him about 4 yards shy of the first down marker. And Jay Kearney finds the way to the first down marker. He finds slips and slides, ducks ahead. He knows where it's at. That's awareness. He knows that the drive was over if he didn't get it there.
Instead, it's at Scotland's 45-yard line. Brad Bretts trying to get the Galaxy back in. They stay on the ground, or go on the ground rather this time, and pick up 2 or 3 yards just to try and keep it honest. But the running game hasn't really worked for them. Bobby Phillips, the ball carrier. Pick up a 3 yards, will bring up 2nd down and 7. Joe O'Brien checking into the lineup for the Scottish Claymores. Looks like Steve Pallur is sending in the plays to Brad Bretts now for the Galaxy. Movement on the line. Flags come in. Bretts with a free play finds Mario Bailey, who's got first down yardage. A pickup of around 10 for Duckett on the stop. There were flags and there was movement on the defensive line.
Voice inflection by the quarterback drew Ty Parton or Joe O'Brien over the line of scrimmage. But the penalty's going to be declined because Brad Bretts does a nice job, and they teach a quarterback, when you know they're offsides, finish the play. You never know what's going to happen downfield. Something could open
Offside.
up.
Number 97 of the defensive team. Penalty is refused.
John DeWitt.
Well, it was John DeWitt. It was one of those defensive linemen. He hears the tone inflection, and he just leaped forward a little bit too soon. But Brad Bretts does a smart thing. See, he just sits there and finishes the play. That's what a quarterback does on an offsides penalty.
Frankfurt rolling now, and it's just like you said, Bill. It only takes one drive, and all that good Scottish work could be wasted. Bretts throws loose and incomplete. Broken up. They were looking for
James Fuller.
Mario Bailey, but Fuller
is back in it again. He's back in a mix of things, and look at him. He's still trembling. He's so fired up. He said, don't bring it here. Don't bring it here, fellas. Don't test me, because I'm going to let you know that I'm here. And he just times it perfectly and lays a hit in his helmet right on the ball to knock it out.
Second down and 10 for Frankfurt. Looking to break their duck. Pressure comes. Coghill on the blitz. It's picked off. They've done it again. Arnold Allais past the 40 to midfield. The Scottish defense is playing a storming game.
Fine heads-up play by Arnold Allais. But the guy who makes this play is number 54, Mark Sanders. Watch him to the left of your screen. He goes out and he has the back. And when he sees the back, he times it perfectly, and his helmet is on the ball, on contact. It pops out Arnold Allais. Nice heads-up awareness of where the ball's at.
And this Galaxy offense must be wondering what it has to do. Jay Kearney eventually tripping up Allais. But Frankfurt, every time it looks like they've moved into a scoring position, this Scottish defense has come up with a turnover. And now Steve Matthews has excellent field position to try and put it away. The play action, he looks, he's got a man, Sean LaChapelle, down to about the 32-yard line. Chris Hall pushed him out of bounds. Good for 15 yards and another Claymores first down.
And now, right away, they're at the 30, and they're back in scoring zone. And the defense knew coming into this game.
Forward, out of bounds. We'll bring it back to where the player fumbled the football. First down.
They said they have to take 88 out of the ball game, and they have not been able to do that. As well, they said stop 27, and instead he has 100 yards. So defensively, Frankfurt hasn't done what they came to do.
And LaChapelle over 150 yards now as well. First down, Scottish Claymores. Siran Stacey on the ground, looks for his blockers, cuts back inside, picks up around 7 or 8 yards before Don Reynolds eventually trips him up. But another impressive piece of running from the man from Alabama.
Well, when the infantry attacks, they usually attack behind the tanks. And number 79, Purvis Hunt, is about as wide as one, and he was leading the charge there.
Back it up, back it up.
Second down and 3 for the Claymores at Scotland, or rather at Frankfurt's 27-yard line. On the ground again, Stacey looks, picks, works, jinks, and gets enough for a first down. He must have changed directions 3 times there, Siran Stacey, and they'll move the chains. Tom Cavallo on the stop.
Vintage Siran Stacey.
He's still real
These are the things I'm talking about. I've mentioned it before. He has an ability to find where the hole is going to open. He follows his fullback, the play supposed to hit to the left, but bang, he cuts up, slams on the brakes, and takes it to the right side. And then he wiggles and squirms his way up there for about 3 and a first down.
Exactly, he knew where the marker was. To the 22, first down, Scotland leading by 6, 9.5 minutes left in the ball game. Matthews looks, goes over the middle, got a man, touchdown, Scotland, Sean LaChapelle.
Look at the last 2 plays. That's the 2 guys they were supposed to stop. The last play was 27. They were supposed to stop him. They didn't. This time, it's Sean LaChapelle. He draws man-to-man coverage, and when it comes time to catch the ball, he just separates himself from Fred Froggy.
Stacey and LaChapelle, they said we must stop them. They haven't stopped either of them. That's why they're 12 points down. Gavin Hastings can make it 13. On its way, and good. 13-point lead for the Scottish Claymores over the defending champions. 9:23 left in the ball game.
Few things could have prepared me for the horror that awaited me that day. Oh, how inhumane.
It must be 110 degrees in there. We gotta do something. You, call 911. You, get a locksmith. Hang in there. The heat and light could easily trigger a degradation of flavor components. They'll all get skunked.
Budweiser, brewery fresh taste, strictly enforced. After some quick thinking, disaster was averted.
Looking for something?
Yeah, that dime from Sprint's long-distance plan.
Having trouble finding it, huh?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the dark.
Well, that's because depending on when you call, the Sprint Sense rate isn't always a dime. In fact, it could be a quarter.
That puts a whole new light on things.
And on average, most people can save more with AT&T True Reach Savings than with Sprint Sense when they spend just $25 a month. So, what do you think?
I think I found what I'm looking for.
That's your true choice, AT&T.
One of the ways Ryder makes your move easier is by renting trucks with automatic transmission. Because moving doesn't have to be an uphill battle. Ryder, we're there when you need us.
Hi, I'm Emmett, and I'm a cowboy. This is my hat. These are my boots. These are my horses. This is where they graze. And this is my ranch. No matter whose brand is on the front gate. This is my territory. This is my zone. This is my planet.
Baby Ruth, who can resist all that rich nougat and caramel? And all those crunchy roasted peanuts. Just what you need to get going.
Showtime!
Baby Ruth from Nestle. This baby gets you going.
They crawl, they hop, they slither. They're pets, and they won't be stopped! Unless you watch the Pet Department, only on FX. If you miss it, be very afraid.
Welcome back to Frankfurt. Nick Pauling, along with Bill Mast, the former Kansas City Chief nose tackle. This has been Bill's kind of game. Good, solid defense, but it's Scotland leading 13-0, 9:23 left.
Well, Scotland is playing all the defense. And for Frankfurt, they haven't done the job that they came to do, and that was stop Sharon Stacey.
Stacey has hurt them consistently, as has Sean LaChapelle. Gavin Hastings gets off a low kick, which Gary Harrell fields at his own 17-yard line. Frankfurt in desperate need of a spark, and Harrell gets to about the 38-yard line before he's pushed out of bounds. But the first touchdown of the game went to Sean LaChapelle.
Well, Fred Foggy, number 36, at the left-hand side of your screen there, he was started last week at left cornerback. And Cecil Doggett usually plays where he's playing right there. So he had to come in and fill in because Cecil Doggett has a pulled calf muscle. He's just a little bit out of position. He didn't plant his feet and come up on the slant pattern.
Look at that, 6 for 180. 30 yards a reception to Sean LaChapelle, who's playing with a shoulder injury as well.
You wouldn't know it, Nick.
No. If that's an injured shoulder, I'd like to see what he does when he's fully healthy. Brett goes upstairs, looks for Bailey, and it's picked off again. And it's James Fuller, and that is the final insult.
Ball right in front of the Frankfurt Galaxy. I think it almost hit Ernie Stotner on the foot.
He's made a point.
James Fuller is an excitable boy this evening. I think Warren Zevon had him in mind when he was talking about an excitable boy. Great break on the ball. And he spikes it. Here I am, guys. Remember me?
Right in front of Gary Harrell. I think James Fuller has proved his case tonight. He's been in on just about every big play the Claymores have come up with defensively. And now Frankfurt are in trouble. They go on the ground. Saran Stacey eventually trips his way to midfield, a pickup of 6 yards to bring up a second down on 4, and they're under 9 minutes.
Say, my mom, I'm a pizza home. K-Dog, Jay, peace. Like, I'm out of here. We're going to take the World Bowl to Scotland all day, every day.
And it is beginning to look that way. The World Bowl looks like it's going to Scotland.
Well, you saw there the turnovers, and Frankfurt had 5 of them. You can't win much of anything when you turn the ball over 5 times. They've had a tough time generating offense, and then when they do, they turn the ball over.
I can't believe this is the same Claymores team that I saw last week in Dusseldorf. They were very poor. Nothing poor about this. Matthews on the bootleg. Don Reynolds after him. Matthews will pick up a first down. Gutsy play from Matthews. It didn't go out of bounds. He took the hit. Fred Foggy and Don Reynolds. I wonder if his coach is going to be too impressed with that.
Well, if you're surprised that this is the same Scotland team as last week, Frankfurt put up 42 points on the board last week and have yet to get inside the 10.
And you can't blame it all on Steve Pallor or Brad Brett. They've shut down everything. The Scottish Claymores have totally wiped out this Frankfurt offense. 1st and 10 at the 42-yard line of the Galaxy for the Scottish Claymores. Ahead by 13, looking for more. Stacey trips his way through for just a couple. Frank Messmer, the first man there. Tom Cavallo finished it off. That'll bring up a second down and 8 from the 40.
And now they start chewing up the clock. And by that I mean on the ground, handing it off to Sharon Stacey, let him get his 2 or 3, and let the clock running down. It's 7:20, 19, 18, it just keeps working down. And for the defense of Frankfurt, it's a miserable situation to be in. There's that, you know you can't stop the run, and you know you don't have enough time to get your offense back into the game.
And the crowd here, very quiet. A few jeers and whistles, but not much flag waving or shouting. Swing pass to Saran Stacey in the flat, who's going to get a first down and more. Still on his feet. Stacey to the 22-yard line.
Someone please tell me why Saran Stacey is not in the NFL.
That is one of the great mysteries. He never even got into a camp last year.
Well, he was a second-round draft choice by the Philadelphia Eagles in '92. Was waived and then hasn't even had a feeler. Nobody's even contacted him to be anywhere. What I see in this guy is innate ability to find an opening, find a crease, and gain positive yardage every time he touches the ball.
You know what he said to me the other day? He's not going to cut his hair until he gets back into the NFL. I predict a shaven-headed Saran Stacey in the next couple of months. First down and 10. The pitch back goes to Stacey again, who cuts back inside, stays on his feet, down to the 15. One man to beat. Jukes and fakes to the 8, a pickup of 15. Chris Hall eventually on the stop, but this is adding insult to injury.
Well, James Fuller on the interception put a nail in the coffin. But Saran Stacey has now opened that coffin back up, and he's driving a stake in the heart. I mean, this is just killing the defense when you're getting run on like this, and you can't stop them.
First down and goal at the 8-yard line. 5:30 left. Motion from Scott Cooper. He looks, he fires, he's got a man. It's stopped short of a touchdown. They're still playing it tough down there. Scott Cooper was thinking touchdown. Fred Foggy was thinking hit. Scott Cooper's second catch of the night.
Well, they're starting to blitz now. And they brought Tom Cavallo up the gut that time and tried to get in the face of Steve Pallure. But when they blitz, you get a man-to-man coverage. And Steve Matthews had the time right there.
Second and goal from the 3. 5 minutes left. Scotland looking to put this one away. Ahead by 13. Motion from Willie Tate, the tight end. The pitch back is to Marcus Thomas, who cuts inside. Touchdown, Scotland. Marcus Thomas with his first run of the night, and it's for 6.
I hate to say the Q word, but when you look at the defensive line of Frankfurt getting pushed around off the ball on both sides of it. If they go to the left, they're pushed off the ball. If they go to the right, they're pushed off the ball. I mean, it appears to me that they just conceded. They said, hey, we can't stop what they're doing up front. We have no answers right now.
And you know what we're seeing here in Frankfurt, something I've never seen before. Fans leaving early. Flags come in. Hastings drills the extra point, but there are at least 3 flags. And tempers and frustration starting to spill over. It has been a frustrating night for the Frankfurt Galaxy. And look at that.
I think you're correct on the latter there. It's frustration.
I've done games here ever since the World League started in 1991, and these fans always stay and party and dance, but they know they've just been kicked around by a better team tonight.
Defense had too many men in the field. 5-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff.
Well, that's one way you can
Point
stop
is good.
You put the 12th guy out there, you know,
but they still converted the kick anyway. It's 20-0 in favor of the Scottish Claymores. 4:49 left in the ball game. We'll be back.
With Ryder, you can drive off with great rates. So whether it's cross-town or cross-country, don't make a move without calling Ryder first. Call 1-800-GO-RYDER.
The sun's up at Bay Hill, and what a lovely day for a drive. But don't forget to keep your head down, because Bay Hill is Arnold Palmer's place, and the rough edges are there by design. So who helps the business end of this legendary club run smoothly? Office Depot.
Taking care of business.
Office Depot guarantees low prices and 100% satisfaction. Because when you're responsible for the big picture, even small details are important.
Taking care of business.
Baby Ruth, who can resist all that rich nougat and caramel? And all those crunchy roasted peanuts. Just what you need to get going.
Showtime!
Baby Ruth from Nestle. This baby gets you going.
Hi, this is Malcolm Shower from the Amsterdam Avenue.
I'm Andre Hewitt from Scottish Claymores.
I'm Steve Brooks from the Frankfurt Galaxy.
And you're watching FX.
Now you can afford that new swimsuit. Now you can afford to have abs like a Greek god.
If you want to know why Scotland are ahead by 20 points, here's why. 5 Frankfurt turnovers, 6 catches for 180 yards for Sean LaChapelle, and 100 yards and a new World League rushing record for Saran Stacey. Took a long time to come, but Scotland's dominance really reflected in a fourth quarter that has seen touchdown passes from Matthews to LaChapelle and Marcus Thomas with a 3-yard run.
You know, the funny thing is Galaxy knew they had to stop those 2 guys, and there was no way they could do it, so that really magnifies the effort of what they did.
And you think these Galaxy players don't care? Don't tell that to Chris Hall.
I've been in this situation before. I know the feeling. Yet you're so excited, your hopes are so high, and you're so anxious, and you dream nothing but good things all week. And things don't turn out that way. It's very emotional.
And you know, these players, all of them said to us, we want to bring the World Bowl here for these fans. They said they're not the best fans in the World League, they're the best fans in the world. And I'm sure that is part of the emotion for the Galaxy players. Gavin Hastings kicks it to Gary Harrell, who fields at the 15. Has some space, but can't get past the second tackler. Ben Torriero and David Webb in on the stop to about the 32-yard line.
Well, Saran Stacey gets all the yards, and Marcus Thomas gets credited with a touchdown. About 31, Jared Caiello, again, with the lead block. He's the guy that pries everything open. He's the can opener in this group, and he's opening those holes for him all night long.
And they really have pounded them on the ground. 155 yards, that's what they needed to do. Frankfurt couldn't get it going on the ground, couldn't get it going through the air either.
And that story right there, Nick, will tell you almost always who's winning the football game. Because when you control the ground game, you can virtually do anything from there.
Brett's in at quarterback, throwing incomplete. Looking for Mike Bellamy. Brett's took a bit of a wallop there as well.
Talking with Ernie Stotner, he said he was excited to see how his team would respond to pressure. You know, he said a lot of these guys are here because they don't have the athletic ability to be in the NFL, and some of them are here because they can't handle the pressure that comes with being in the NFL. And he was anxious to see if this team could rise to the occasion.
And they haven't. Not tonight anyway. Brett gets it off. Flags come in. Jay Kearney will be dropped after a pickup of around 3. Arnold Allais. But there were flags in the Frankfurt backfield. And Jim Kreiner isn't resting on his laurels. Look at that. Still working out plays. Sounded like against Toby Mills, the center.
Against Frankfurt, I think it is Toby Mills. And things are getting worse for them.
Well, that'll push it back another 10 yards. It's been an ugly fourth quarter, this, for the Frankfurt Galaxy. That drive they had that was so impressive, broken up by Arnold Allais' interception, and since then it's been all Scotland. Just to think about 7 minutes ago, this was a 6-point ball game. Second and 20. Gary Harrell goes in motion. Brett with a deep drop, has a lot of time. Gets a receiver, Bobby Phillips, who is stopped at the line of scrimmage by... Yeah.
You know who it is. I don't even have to tell you. I don't have to tell you who it is.
This guy has made a statement tonight. James Fuller.
You know, when you play against a Galaxy offense, one of the things you want to do is control the yards after a catch. And they've done an excellent job of that tonight. And they, meaning Scotland.
And Brett slips out of trouble, but he's got a lot of ground to make up. Still 10 yards short. Gutsy play from Brett, who's got the first down. That was a big play for Duckett and George Coghill, but Brett's picked up 22 yards in what looked like a hopeless cause.
Well, obviously Brett hasn't given up, and he's trying to interject a shot of adrenaline into his teammates. They're now at about midfield. There's 3 minutes and 30 seconds left, and there's still plenty of time in this ball game. this team needs to pick up after that. They need to get around him and gather that energy from him and see if they can generate something here.
You know, a quick strike now, and it could still get interesting. Bretts over the middle, gets a man, Mario Bailey. James Fuller brings him down short of first down yardage. David Wilson came over to help. Fuller does not need any help tonight.
How many tackles does he have?
Oh, I've lost count.
Does anybody have a clue? I know it's a heck of a lot. It's in double digits.
You know what's going to happen? They're going to make me interview the guy after the game, and he's still going to be coming at you. Yeah, this may be the last you see
I'd be careful down there.
I will. Mario Bailey makes the catch. It'll be close to first down yardage. Forey Duckett came up and made the stop. Depends where they spot it. We may have to send you down there as my kind of blocker, you know.
There it is again, controlling the yards after the catch. Sure, he caught the ball, but he wasn't able to turn and get upfield. And in the West Coast offense, that's what the receivers have to do to be successful. You catch the ball, and then you get your yards after the catch. And Scotland will not allow them to do that.
Timeout on the field with 2 minutes, 35 seconds remaining in the ball game. Scotland leading Frankfurt 20-0.
You don't take orders from anyone but the sea. The harder you work, the more you earn. And the more you earn, the more you keep. And after it's all said and done, you walk away with the two things nobody can take. Good friends and good corn.
Taking care of business.
Office Depot is bigger and better than ever. With more brand name office supplies than ever before. With more superstores nationwide. More top-brand business machines and computers. More software titles and computer accessories. More office supplies and furniture at guaranteed low prices nobody can beat.
Taking care of business.
Office Depot, taking care of business for companies of every size, everywhere, every day.
One of the ways Ryder makes your move easier is by renting trucks with automatic transmission. Because moving doesn't have to be an uphill battle. Ryder, we're there when you need us.
Baby Ruth, who can resist all that rich nougat and caramel? And all those crunchy roasted peanuts. Just what you need to get going.
Showtime!
Baby Ruth from Nestle. This baby gets you going.
The all-wheel drive cars from Subaru. Each looks beautiful on the surface. Any surface. Subaru all-wheel drive is the ultimate safety feature. It reacts instantly, transferring power automatically from the wheels that slip to the wheels that grip to help keep you safely on the road, even where there are no roads. The all-surface, all-weather, all-wheel drive line from Subaru. The beauty of all-wheel drive.
Barring a miracle, it looks like the Scottish Claymores will be hosting World Bowl 96 in 6 weeks' time. Steve Pallor injured, watching from the sidelines as Brad Bretts tries to conjure up a miracle, but it's been Scotland all the way tonight. Total yardage telling its own tale. Scotland more than double Frankfurt's output. And it took them a while to get started, but those 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns, no more than they deserved. Nick Halling, along with Bill Maas in the commentary box. A big third down for Brad Bretts. They converted the first down to Mario Bailey, who picks up some yards after the catch. Will pick up 11 yards. Surely they've left it too late.
Charles Hope, the offensive guard, is down and in some pain, it looks like.
Well, it's been a quarter when everything has gone wrong for Frankfurt. This thing got away from them. And now, if this is serious to Hope, they will be in trouble. Ernie Stautner, well, the wily old fox, he's been outfoxed tonight by Ray Wilsey and the Claymores defense. Wilsey, his assistant here last year. Hope still down on the floor. Central Ohio State with the Packers in '94. But when bad things happen to a team, they happen in bunches, don't they?
Well, it looks like they were all saved up for this one game for Frankfurt. They got off to an incredible start with a 4-0. And I've seen them at times Nick, looked like they were unstoppable.
Oh, when this West Coast offense clicks, it clicks in a big way. They have so many weapons. But the Claymores defense, and you've got to credit Ray Wilsey for it, if you shut them down, then it can be devastatingly effective. And Scotland will host the World Bowl. And after this, they've got 2 home games. Orion Fire and Frankfurt will be back, smarting for revenge. Then they go to Amsterdam, which will be tricky. Then the rematch against the London Monarchs, and they finish up in Barcelona.
Well, you know, we still have a lot of time left on the clock, and they are in the 35. They're at the 35-yard line going in. And 3 touchdowns, you know, let's not forget about that missed extra point you talked about.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, there was no missed extra point. It was
the field goal.
6, yeah, the field goal, the missed field goal could come into play here.
Well,
3 touchdowns.
As you say, it's not beyond them.
It's happened before. And they have the offensive weapons to do it with all those receivers.
But it would take a big lapse in concentration from the Claymores defense, and I've got a feeling they're thinking shutout. And James Fuller won't be stepping back, that's for sure. Eventually caught by Mike Bellamy and out of bounds, which stops the clock with 2:11 to go. But Bellamy was bouncing that thing around there.
Second down.
To bring up a second down and around 2 to go for the Frankfurt Galaxy. They've moved it inside the 30 to the 27-yard line of the Scottish Claymores. 2:11 left in the ball game. They need a miracle. But stranger things have happened. Bretts takes the drop, has a lot of time, goes over the middle, got a man, and they're looking for first down yardage, and it looks like Jay Kearney has got it.
Sign up for measurement.
David Wilson on the stop, and that is the 2-minute warning. With the score, the Scottish Claymores 20, the Galaxy nothing.
The sun's up at Bay Hill, and what a lovely day for a drive. But don't forget to keep your head down, because Bay Hill is Arnold Palmer's place, and the rough edges are there by design. So who helps the business end of this legendary club run smoothly? Office Depot.
Taking care of business.
Office Depot guarantees low prices and 100% satisfaction. Because when you're responsible for the big picture, even small details are important.
Taking care of business.
One of the ways Ryder makes your move easier is with a computerized reservation system that makes short work of paperwork. Because the sooner you get your move started, the sooner you're finished. Ryder, we're there when you need us.
Baby Ruth, who can resist all that rich nougat and caramel? And all those crunchy roasted peanuts. Just what you need to get going.
Showtime!
Baby Ruth from Nestle. This baby gets you going.
Before he was dirty, he was already harried.
Better do more than just point a gun at me, mister.
Clint Eastwood and Rawhide. Next, only on FX.
They are America's dreamers, builders, leaders. They are the future of America's companies and communities. They are students, teachers, machinists, programmers.
But we're more.
We're more.
1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year.
We're the men and women of the U.S. Army Reserve.
We're proud of what we do.
And who we are.
You can join us in the Army Reserve.
As a full-time citizen serving part-time, you can train in one of almost 200 career fields, learn high-tech skills, and earn up to $25,100 toward a college degree while you're still in college. Serve part-time. Feel a pride that's full-time. Can you see yourself? This could be you. Call this number for more information. You'll receive a free brochure in the mail. There's no obligation.
No matter where you are in your life,
The Reserve can help you do better in life.
Call now.
Be all that you can be in the Army Reserve. How about it?
And it's a first down in Frankfurt for the Galaxy at the Scottish Claymores 20, looking to get that 0 off the board. But sat there and stared at them all night long. Gary Harrell goes in motion. Pressure comes. Brett gets away from the first guy and the second guy. Can't get away from the third guy there, Gerald Jeffcoat. And they just poured through.
Hurry up! One thing about this defense is they never lost sight of what they came to do. And they didn't care if they got a couple yards here, got a couple of yards there, and if they had scored, that wouldn't have affected them either. Because this group is playing the whole entire ball game.
A loss of 10 for Brad Bretz on the sack. Bretz gets it off. He's got a man this time. Mike Bellamy looks to try and get out of bounds and does so and stops the clock. It'll be short of first down yardage. Forey Duckett pushed him out after a pickup of around 13 yards.
And that's the stuff,
down 7.
That's the stuff I'm talking about. Did you count how many white shirts were around the ball carrier then? They didn't get him down that time. They chased him out of bounds before the first down. But did you see how many were around them? That's what they've been doing all night. It's a swarming defense that Ray Wilsey coaches.
And it's a 3rd and 7 for Frankfurt at the 18-yard line of the Scottish Claymores. 1:29 left in the ball game. Frankfurt looking for respect, and the blitz is coming, and they flatten Bretz. They never saw it, and George Coghill came through untouched.
Well, that was a safety blitz. They brought both the safeties. They brought James Fuller in the middle and number 34, George Coghill, off the left side. And there just wasn't enough bodies in there offensively to pick them up. And you see the expression by Jim Kreiner.
4th down, Bretz throws a Hail Mary that drops incomplete. And you should see the Claymores defensive players, they had their hands in the air. This team wants a shutout.
What they wanted to do was beat the mighty Frankfurt Galaxy. It's the first time they've had a chance to play them, but they've heard so much about them. And they've been talked about through everybody who's following the World League that this is the team to beat Frankfurt Galaxy. They're well coached offensively, they're well coached defensively, they've got the #1 rated quarterback. None of that affected Scotland.
This isn't a win, Bill, this is a humiliation.
Not so much in the score of the game, but by the standards of the game, the things that have transpired. They have not let Frankfurt offense do anything out on the field. They've been held to 0. They've been taken completely out of their game plan from the opening possession.
1:07 left. And still they get yardage, around 4 yards there. For Marcus Thomas, who scored that touchdown. Reginald Lee eventually in on the stop. That'll bring up a 2nd down for the Scottish Claymores, ahead by 20. Jim Kreiner gets a soaking. Jim Ballard behind centre for the Scottish Claymores.
We have time for one more play.
This has been impressive from the Claymores.
Now what they're going to do is run the clock down.
They take the knee with 27 seconds left to go, and that should do it. And Ray Willsey's got some as well.
And he deserved it.
Well, you achieve a shutout like that, and you really have done your job. And the guy who was the defensive coordinator with Frankfurt last year has come back to really hurt this team. The Scottish Claymores will host the World Bowl at Murrayfield in 6 weeks' time. The team that finished rock bottom last year under Jim Kreiner with a 2-8 record has come back to be top of the heap.
You know, you talk about Jim Kreiner, you talked about him being at rock bottom with his team last year. And you know what he did in the offseason? He went out and he got himself a defense. He got Ray Wilsey. He drafted 9 out of 12 players on the defensive side of the ball right away. And then he went and got some other coaches offensively that he's worked with in the past and built himself a rapport with the team. And it's worked. And it's working and it's paying off.
So at least we know one of the teams in the World Bowl on the 23rd of June. It'll be at Murrayfield. The Scottish Claymores will be there. Who'll go with them? At the moment, the odds would favour the Frankfurt Galaxy. I still have a feeling Amsterdam could come good in the second half of the season as well. And Jim Kreiner, well, he took a few baths last year, didn't he, when he was 2-8, but not too many of this sort of bath. Those are the ones you don't mind.
Well, he's taking a shower with his buddy there. You see, he got the offensive coordinator.
And you know what his name is? Soaker.
It is.
He got soaked. And Ben Torriero was the guy that did it from a 44 there and quickly hugged his coach to make sure that there were no hard feelings. Steve Pallur banged up with those injured ribs, but I don't think that made any real difference tonight. This Scottish defense, you're a defensive guy. You must have been impressed by that.
I was, and I saw it materializing last week. What Amsterdam did to them defensively was play the man-to-man coverage and get after Steve DeBerg and knock him on the ground and injure him and take him out. And it's paid off. And I said they were exposed. This is how you stop this team. And Scotland came in and took that and did it to even a greater level.
So both these teams finished 4-1 after the first half of the season. Scotland edged Frankfurt on the head-to-head, and it's Scotland who will host this year's World Bowl in June. Frankfurt just have to keep their focus now and have to bounce back from this. They're still in pretty good shape. But this has been a pounding for them, and they'll have to go back and lick their wounds and regroup on both sides of the ball.
Well, it was a great comeback, in a sense, from what transpired last week with Scotland. They felt they got robbed on a call that was a little bit ridiculous and lost the game for them. And then they come back this week and don't let anything stand in their way. They come together offensively, defensively. The special teams created field position for them.
Well, as the players just give thanks there for coming through it, I believe we got Sean LaChapelle down on the sidelines. Sean, I hope you can hear me. Now, you had a fairly quiet game there, just 6 catches and 180 yards.
Yeah, we worked on some stuff back in Scotland, trying to exploit some of their weaknesses, and Steve had a great game and threw some great balls, and I just happened to be on the end of them.
Now, the touchdowns were a long time coming. Were you panicking at all on the sideline at any point?
No, because our defense was playing well. Our offense was moving the ball, but we just weren't getting the breaks, and our coach keeps on telling us the harder we play, the more the breaks will come. So, you know, eventually we knew we were going to put the ball in the end zone. It was just a matter of time.
Sean Bill Moss, congratulations. Well, how much does this mean? How important is this for Scotland?
I think it's extremely important. You know, our coach said in the locker room before the game that Scotland doesn't have very many opportunities to impress the world. And now that little country is going to be hosting the World Football League Championships, and we're bringing it home for them.
And a real turnaround for this team that was just 2-8 last year. I know you weren't involved in this team, but the veterans that were there from last year, they must be delighted with what's happened.
Yeah, they're extremely delighted. You know, the coaching staff did a good job. They brought in some good talent, and it's paid off. You know, we're playing some good football, and there's great competition in the league, and we're just looking forward to our next game.
You know, you had the mishap last week. You dropped one, and then you rebounded back. Now that you're in the World Bowl and you're going to have it in Scotland, what transpires next through the next 5 weeks? Is this, do you sit back and say we're in, or you try to keep the momentum going? What is the Scottish Claymores going to do?
I don't think our coach is going to let us sit back. You know, we stay out there 3 hours every day on the football field, and that's what it's going to be like. You know, we're going to work our butts off, and we're going to try and go undefeated the rest of the season. Like I said, they got great competition here with the other teams, and it's going to be a tough, but we're not going to just lay down and go, you know, let teams beat us. We're going to go out there and work as hard as we can.
Sean, thanks for joining us this evening. Congratulations. Hope you enjoy the rest of the night.
Thank you very much.
Now, Bill, we're going to take another look at that touchdown, the one that really broke the game wide open.
Well, like I said, Fred Foggy, before, he's covering him. He usually plays left corner. He's over there in right corner. And it's a nice slant pattern. It's a down, it slants right towards the middle of the field, right towards the goalpost. And Fred Foggy couldn't cover him, but this didn't happen once. Sean LaChapelle obviously made catches all night. But the things that made this happen was on the legs of Saran Stacy.
Well, the man who threw that touchdown pass was Steve Matthews, a teammate of Sean LaChapelle's at Kansas City. Steve, I hope you can hear me above this din. Congratulations on a very impressive performance, but those touchdowns took a while coming, didn't they?
I think you asked me a question about the first touchdown pass, and it was just we've been practicing on that route all week. We knew that they would jump up on Yo Murphy coming underneath the middle, and we'd have Sean on the post. And whenever you leave Sean one-on-one against the defensive back, you saw tonight that 9 out of 10 times you're going to be in pretty big trouble, and that's what happened. And you know, it was a great route and great protection, and I was able to make the throw.
Steve, you rebounded back from last week's loss, and you look like a team offensively and defensively that was really focused.
Well, you know, last week we all knew that game didn't mean all that much to, you know, wasn't important as far as standings go and as far as being in the World Bowl. You know, our goal wasn't to go undefeated. Our goal was to be in the World Bowl and host it in Scotland, and that's exactly what we've done. And last week it was one of those games where, you know, we're all competitors and we go out and try to play, but we're also human beings, and you know, we came out flat, and you know, we ended up losing. But you know, that week's over with, and we just won the game to host the World Bowl in Scotland. That's a great opportunity for everybody, and I'm looking forward to it.
It seems to me that every time Sharon Stacy has a big day, the Claymores have a big day. Oh yeah, I mean, if you can run the ball, especially in this league, it's going to open up everything, and that opened up the passing game, and it kept them off balance. And that's exactly right. I don't think enough teams in the World League really try to run the ball like we can and do and work hard on it. We got such a great offensive line when it comes to run blocking and pass blocking, and we were able to blow them off the ball, and Stacy also had some great runs.
Steve, thanks very much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, as Steve said, Saran Stacy doing a lot of work. They're over 100 yards, setting a new record in the process as well.
Like I said to you before, why isn't this guy in the NFL? I don't know. I mean, to me, he has great explosion and the innate ability. He reminds me a lot, I'll be honest with you, of a Marcus Allen. Marcus Allen is an electrifying runner. He doesn't have the big burst of speed, but what he does have is an ability to find an open hole and make good yards.
And we've had the ability to find him. I hope you can hear me above all this noise, Saran. Congratulations. Now, first of all, do you know that you've set a new record tonight? You're the all-time leading rusher in World League history.
Well, thank you. You know, I just want to give praise to God and just thank him, you know, for giving me the opportunity to play this game, you know. I've been playing football for a long time, and I've been blessed, you know, to stay healthy, and I just give all praise and honor to him.
Saran, your offensive line really seemed to be gelling tonight from the opening possession. Did you try something new this week? Did you put in new stuff, or is this something that's been building up?
You know, we wanted to come out all week long. We practiced all week long and coming out and establish the running game. We felt like, you know, if we could run the ball on them, you know, everything else would open up. And, you know, we made some adjustment at halftime because Frankfurt, they were playing outstanding in the first half. And we made some adjustment to start cutting their ends and start running outside more. And, you know, it worked out fine, you know, so I got to give the coaches a lot of credit for that. And, you know, and Jared, you know, our fullback and our offensive line, you know, they just did an outstanding job. You know, they stepped up, you know, and got the job done, and that's what it's all about. That's how you win a championship.
Saran, you were with that Claymores team that struggled all last season. What does this mean to you personally to be going to the World Bowl?
It's a sweet feeling. It really is, you know, because being down so much, you wonder if, you know, if something good can actually happen to you. And then when something finally good happens, it's a special feeling, you know. So that's why, you know, I just thank the Lord for it, you know, because I know through him all this is possible.
How important is it for the game to be in Scotland?
You know, Scotland's a beautiful country. You know, I got to say, you know, I grew up in Alabama, you know, up in a small town. And, you know, hello, Geneva. Hello, Mom. I love all of you. And, you know, but Scotland is a beautiful country, and I'm enjoying it, and the players are enjoying it. You know, the countryside is very beautiful, and, you know, we're having a great time over there.
Now, underneath that bandana on your head, I know you've got a little bit more hair than you normally would have. You told us you were going to get a haircut if you make an NFL camp this year. Are you booking the hairdresser's appointment yet?
You know, it all started last year in the World League, you know, and I just been letting my hair grow, and you know, and it's true, you know. I really feel like I should be playing the National Football League. You know, we all have dreams in life, and my dream is to go back to the league, and I'm not going to get a haircut until I go back. You know, if I never go back, hey, I'm going to have some long hair.
How big of a helmet will you need in about 3 or 4 weeks?
I don't know. But, you know, it's all good because, you know, we're winning, and that's all that matters to me. You know, I just want to go out and play and just, you know, just have a good time.
Saran, thanks for joining us, and book that hairdresser's appointment. You're going to need it soon.
All right, thank you very much.
Saran Stacy, the all-time leading rusher in World League history. A big factor tonight. Never. And overtaking the record of Eric Wilkerson of the New York, New Jersey Knights. Elroy Harris, Tony Baker, and Ricky Blake in there as well. Saran Stacy's got a few more yards left in his World League career.
He just does so many things well, Nick. I mean, when he gets in traffic, he protects the football. And he's always falling forward. You never ever see him ever fall backwards. He's always gaining a yard, even if it's a few inches. And he's good at picking up the blitzes. He'll stay in there, he makes his reads. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. And like I said, his vision is just exceptional.
And a very good guy as well. I mean, you wonder why this fella isn't in an NFL camp. I mean, you know, maybe somebody said something about him. I don't know, but it really is a mystery. I mean, we said this earlier. It is a mystery that this guy, Sir Ann Stacey, didn't even make a camp last year, and it would just be a disgrace if that happens again this year.
Well, it would be a disgrace if that fire creeps up this way towards us.
I'll tell you, if that fire comes up here, we're going off the air fast.
You know, it's a catch-22 situation winning the World Bowl this time. You know, I look at this, and it's a different playoff format than that in the NFL. And they have a chance halfway through the season to clinch a spot, which Scotland did today. But then what happens to the rest of the season? You know, in college and in pros, I was always taught that, you know, the team that's going to win at the end of the season, the team that's playing well, is the team that's going to advance. But when you clinch a spot this early, with 5 games remaining to the World Bowl, you have to wonder, is this going to play on the guys mentally?
Well, that's something for Jim Kreiner and his coaching staff to worry about. They don't have to worry about it tonight, because tonight the Scottish Claymores have booked their berth in the 1996 World Bowl on Sunday, the 23rd of June. It will be at Murrayfield in Edinburgh, and one man who's going to be on the sidelines that night is going to be their head coach, Jim Kreiner, a man who saw his team struggle all last year. Jim, after a 2-8 record last year, tonight must be a very sweet moment for you.
It really is, you know, and more than anything, the way that our players and our organization went about their business to give us an opportunity to build a program and get it to the point where it was today.
Coach Bill Moss, congratulations on the World Bowl being in Scotland. Did you guys do anything wrong tonight? Offensively and defensively, it appeared to me it was your most sound game.
Well, we did. I think we had 3 scoring opportunities in the first half that we blew. We didn't get the plays when we need them, but other than missing on those 3 plays, I think it was a pretty good football game for us throughout.
Coach, I commented earlier in the year about defense and Ray Wilsey. Tell us a little bit about what transpired this offseason.
Well, Ray was the first coach that I hired, and I hired Ray to build the defense, and I told Ray and he knew what my philosophy was, because we coached together, that I think you win championships through defense. And I told Ray that we were going to commit to a draft that would give us an opportunity to get to the World Bowl. And so we committed 9 of our first draft picks to defense, and I then brought in my old defensive line coach, Bill Dutton, and my linebacker coach, Larry Owens, and Ray basically orchestrated the thing and put the draft together with their help, and then proceeded to put the defense together within the guidelines that I had given him, and they did a great job. And today's a perfect example of it. An offense that hadn't been slowed down, you know, they did a great job of keeping them off balance and stunting when they needed to, covering when they needed to, and it was just a brilliant job by Ray and his staff.
Jim, obviously a night of great celebration for everybody connected with the Claymores, but I mean, as you will know, you've got 5 more games to play before the World Bowl, and there's 1 or 2 tricky games in there. I mean, Frankfurt will be coming back to Murrayfield in 2 weeks' time looking for revenge.
Well, they're a good football team, and we know we're going to have our hands full when we play them. You know, they play tough. They've got some real skill players, and Bill asked me that question this week about what will happen if this football team wins the bowl game, or wins the game tonight and gets a chance to go to the bowl game. And when I told Bill, I really feel very strongly about this football team. If you watch our football team on the sidelines, they don't get carried away with a lot of crap. You know, they're a disciplined, committed group of guys that are going to do nothing but get better, and I think we'll be better in the second half than we were in this half.
Coach, how important is this for Scotland to host the World Bowl?
Well, I don't know that's what the deal is. We're just happy as heck to have a chance to win the game, and if it happens, you know, we're really excited about that and think that our fans deserve it.
Do you think your fans might multiply like rabbits now that they have something to grasp onto?
Well, let's hope so. Maybe they'll adopt American football a little bit stronger like these fans have here in Frankfurt. This is a great crowd, and you know, this is the 3rd time that I've been here and played in front of big crowds like this, and I've been very fortunate. I've come away a winner every time, and hopefully our fans will take off and grow, and maybe we can present this same kind of a problem for teams when they come to play us.
Jim, I'm going to do a dirty trick on you now, because I'm going to put you on the spot and you can't get away. You've played all 5 teams in the World League. Who do you think is going to come through from those 5 and face you in the World Bowl?
I tell you what, I still won't count Barcelona out of having a hunt at it. I think Barcelona is really talented, and I think they got good players, and I wouldn't count them out of it. And this team right here, I mean, look at the talent of this football team, and they had a bad one tonight, but I know they're going to be fighting back harder than ever. You know, it's tough to say, but right now when you look at the records and the potential of the teams to score, those two teams have got a great deal of potential, and we do know that we will line up and play against their best shot every time we play each of those other 5 teams.
Now, how are you going to celebrate tonight? A glass of milk and early to bed?
You know, that's probably what I will do, to be honest with you.
I don't believe you. You're lying.
You know,
I'm going to come around to your hotel and check.
No, we'll have a good time. My wife's here, and we'll have a good time with the coaches. You know, these guys have been we've been together on and off for a long time, and so we'll have a good time tonight. But also, you know, our victory tonight makes you look pretty good, too, because I read your last article in First Down last year, and basically you predicted that not that we would come this far, but you predicted that things would turn around with the Claymores, and we appreciate that very much.
Well, you got a good memory. I'm glad I didn't say anything bad about you in that article, Jim. Listen, congratulations. A really good night for everyone connected with the franchise, and congratulations once again.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Jim. Well, a very, very happy head coach, and he's thoroughly deserved it. The place just about empty now. Some final thoughts from you, Bill?
Well, you know, I'm really glad to see Scotland have the opportunity to host the World Bowl. I think it's going to generate a lot of interest up there, and the fans are going to gather around this team. They're an interesting team to watch, and I like some of the things they're doing. Jim Kreiner really has this group going. And for Frankfurt, hey, they're not out of this by any means. They're 4-1, and they've got a chance to finish the rest of the season strong and could be up there in Scotland at Merrifield to take them on in the World Bowl.
Yeah, Frankfurt can't be ruled out. Jim Kreiner mentioned Barcelona. I still say Amsterdam could come strong second half of the season as well. But that is all for the future. Scotland don't have to worry about the future. They have qualified for the World Bowl. It's going to be in their backyard in 6 weeks' time at Murrayfield, and I bet you they'll fill that place. Murrayfield, Edinburgh. 67,000 people they can get in there, and I'm sure the Scots are going to come out and support them.
You know, with the loss today, it really tightened up that field. I think it's a blowout. Amsterdam won, so they're back in the mix of things. It's going to be interesting to see this next 4 or 5 weeks how this thing transpires.
And that just about wraps up our coverage from Frankfurt. The World Bowl has been decided in terms of who's going to host it. It's the Scottish Claymores, Marcus Thomas, with the touchdown that really sealed it late in the fourth quarter. The Claymores running out 20-0 victors over the Frankfurt Galaxy. They'll be playing at home in the big game in 6 weeks' time. For Bill Mast, this is Nick Halling saying thanks for joining us. Bye-bye for now.